You need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is anchor man, not anchor lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
The Annie Frey Show, or as we like to call it today, the Manny Frey Show, because I'm not going to jerk around with you. Everybody's off. We're going into a long holiday weekend. Annie's not here. Hannah's not here, which means it's me and Brad, and we call that the Manny Frey Show. My name is Ryan Wiggins. Brad is here, the executive producer, as usual.
We are the
guys? Cast. Yeah, hello. But I do want to tell you, though, that we have stacked this show very full. We have a lot of people coming in to kind of fill out things. We are going to talk about some real news, especially in this hour. We'll have some more fun later in the show. But we've got HaZe from Y98 coming in the 2 o'clock hour. We've got Drew producing in Hannah's place, and he's just a fun guy. He'll be in here in and out all day. We have a cool thing we're going to do in the 2 o'clock hour that if you're here right now and you're looking for something kind of lighter on a Friday, obviously we're not doing X's and O's, which we normally do on Fridays because everything's out of whack.
Yeah.
But we do have this unique thing that Drew and I kind of came up with together. We're going to play political ads from different years in American past. But he has run them, as I often do with X's and O's, through AI. So we don't know whose ad this is, and I'm coming at it cold too. Drew's kind of set this thing up. Me and Brad and HaZe will have to pick, along with you if you're listening, try to pick who and what year this was, and we'll have like a multiple choice that you can fill in. I'm really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And also at the end of this hour, Drew's going to be in for Wiggins America, which should be fun because we'll do that pretty cold too.
He's got a pretty cool story about Neuralink.
With Elon Musk.
Elon Musk, yeah.
And where technology is headed, which we talk about, somewhat frequently, but that's news. What I have in this segment right now is some hard stuff. It's like I said, let's just get the bad news out of the way. So I'm kind of bringing it the worst of the worst right out of the gate here because let's get past it. We got a report on it. Let's get past it. But the New York Post has this report up today that's a little bit of a, well, yeah, duh, but there's so much data to it that I thought there really is more here than meets the eye. I'll read it to you. It says, while the focus has been on Twitter and Facebook censorship and liberal bias, the worst big tech culprit of all has been getting a free pass. Any idea who that might be, Brad?
The worst big tech
culprit of all.
Oh, probably Google.
It is exactly, you're exactly right. It's Google. And it says, now it's coming for your children. That's the warning from research psychologist Dr. Robert Epstein, a California Democrat. Now, this is why this is interesting. This isn't partisan research. This is a California Democrat with a Harvard PhD who's spent the last decade monitoring Google's manipulation of news feeds. Now, he wasn't necessarily looking for a predetermined outcome. He just knew that this is a big tech platform. They have an enormous influence over information and what gets shared. He was looking at how they manipulate news feeds and search results and YouTube suggestions over the last decade. He shared his latest research with the Post when he was in New York this week to raise donations for the next stage of his project, of course. But Epstein's research shows that Google has the power to change minds and move elections to suit its left-leaning or even far left corporate worldview. And despite regular protestations of innocence to Congress, the $1 trillion multinational tech giant is using its virtual monopoly as a search engine to elevate liberal views, stifle conservatives, and manipulate the impressionable minds of people, and he says, children. Again, duh. Right?
I am shocked.
We all knew this was happening, but the reason that I wanted to read this is because he's put actual numbers to this.
Yeah.
He says that if you thought Twitter and Facebook censoring the Post's Hunter Biden laptop story was bad, how about 6 million votes shifted to Joe Biden by Google in the 2020 election? is what he says their manipulating of what we read and see caused.
All right. So just to be clear, he's not accusing them of taking the votes and changing them.
He's not accusing them of election fraud.
Right.
I shouldn't even use that word on YouTube. That's how bad the censorship is. He's accusing them of manipulating the information that people receive so bad that he put a number to this. I mean, this is just his data, but that's a huge data point. 6 million votes, he says. And that's the electoral impact that Epstein, 69, claims that Google secretly had in 2020 using biased algorithms, which skewed search results toward positive links for Biden and negative links for Trump, as well as get out the vote messaging on Google's homepage that targeted primarily Democrat voters.
You know, that's interesting. And it's a really easy thing to test if you're at home with using either Google's search or DuckDuckGo. And you search a certain thing, or say search Donald Trump, or search Ron DeSantis and then search Joe Biden on both of those platforms. Hit your search results and just compare side to side what results come up first versus which ones don't. Google absolutely does manipulate and put their thumb on the algorithm. The question is why do they do it?
Well, because they have a liberal bias.
Well,
I mean, you mentioned when we were talking about this before the show, and I love the fact that, okay, we'll just share the first part of this before we get to the second. When I said, Brad, what do you think about this story? Have you seen this? You said, well, remember 2016.
Yeah, in 2016, after Donald Trump was elected, Google had a big company-wide video meeting, and video from that, they got in there, and basically what they said was, hey, we let everybody down. We will never let something like this happen again. We'll make sure that it doesn't happen again, blah, blah,
we
blah.
We let everybody down by not putting our thumb on the scale,
right,
is what they're saying.
Essentially is what they were saying. And this audio and video leaked. And I remember seeing it on Twitter. I remember seeing it in different areas. And I'm like,
probably YouTube would be the place where it would be.
Yeah. And I went back and I have been searching and searching and searching, and I can't find it.
You can't find the video about Google being biased?
Yeah, I can't find that.
Through Google?
Through Google. It's not there. I don't know what happened to it.
Incredible.
It's amazing.
Anyway, I wanted to share that just because if you want to go, parse the data for yourself, just because some guy says, well, 6 million votes, that doesn't mean it was actually 6 million votes. It's just a very bold claim from somebody who has done the research, like I said, for a decade. You can dig into that if you want. But like I said, let's get the bad news out of the way first. I do a little segment on my show. I'm just going to bring the sounder into the Annie Frey Show because I think it's apropos here. It's called Tales from the Dark Side. Here's a tale from the dark side, if it plays.
It is playing?
It's trying. There we go.
There is, unseen by most, an underworld. A place that is just as real, but not as brightly lit. A dark side.
So this dark side is actually looking at high school debate platforms. Might be a weird place to look, but that is where James Fishback has looked. He is a high school debate moderator, and he has looked at this for, again, probably 10 years or more. And the way that high school debates have shifted. And I thought this was very, very interesting. It's a very long article where he goes into how this maybe reflects on modern culture as a whole. He says beginning in 2018, he started to see a hard shift away from open debate in debates. He says traditionally high school students would have encountered a judge like a former West Point debater, Henry Smith, he says is great. He says this guy asks students to focus on clarity over speed, reminds them that every argument should explain exactly how they win the debate. So these are contests that people, I never did high school debate. I almost wish I would have now, but I don't know that we even had a very big debate team or anything like that. So I don't know that this really existed at my high school. He says in the past few years, however, judges, which apparently can set their own rules for debates, they're probably broader rules, but then they come in and say, here are the parameters for this debate, which is called a paradigm. He says judges with paradigms tainted by politics and ideology are becoming common. Debate judge Shubham Gupta his paradigm. He says he actually pulled directly from this high school judge's paradigm. And these are big this isn't like your local chapter. This is once your debate team has gotten to a certain level and you're competing either at the state or national level to try to win these things. He said, these are the judges. And his paradigm reads like this, quote, if you are discussing immigrants in a round and describe the person as illegal, I will immediately stop the round, give you a loss with low points, and give you a stern lecture and then talk to your coach. I will not have you making the debate space unsafe, unquote. There are a whole bunch of these examples, and I will go into a few more here. But what we're seeing now is in the name of quote unquote safety, you can stop any kind of speech you want. This isn't news to people who listen to the Annie Frey Show or to 97.1. It's just amazing that it keeps happening. And people keep believing that they're doing good things in the name of safety that's completely... the reason I bring this up is because it's literally in debates.
Yeah.
The whole point of debates is to have free exercise of ideas.
Well, the other side of that is just stop and think about what sort of precedent this is setting for these students, how you are training these students. You know, the students are young, they're malleable, and what you're basically teaching them, and by doing something like this, is that it is okay to stifle certain speech out of safety concerns.
Yeah.
You know, and the old argument is it's not okay, you know, the freedom of speech isn't absolute. It's not okay to yell fire in a crowded movie theater. And that's a safety issue. That's, to clarify, it's not okay to yell fire in a crowded movie theater whenever there is no fire. It is required to yell it whenever there is
a fire.
Yeah. The idea being that you're making an unsafe environment. Same thing with threats of violence and stuff like that. They have expanded what a threat of violence is so broadly now that they can accuse anything of being a safety issue, and therefore they can shut it down.
Yeah.
And you're training these students, they'll come out of that and they'll be like, well, that's okay. I mean, it's for safety and that's why we're doing it. And so they won't even attempt to do it is kind of really the scary thing on the other side of it.
You hit it. This is exactly what he says. This is what I was going to say next. Once students have been exposed to enough of these partisan paradigms, and there's a whole bunch of them, he says they internalize that point of view and adjust their arguments going forward because they're trying to win. That's why you rarely see students present arguments in favor now. He says this is in the last 5 years in favor of capitalism, defending Israel, or changing or challenging affirmative action. Most students choose not to fight these. They see it as a necessary evil that's required to win debates to get around these rules and secure the accolades, scholarships, and college acceptance letters that can come with winning. He goes into a couple other examples here. He says one judge says, I will drop America First framing in a heartbeat. I will listen to conservative leaning arguments, but be careful. He says in the past year, Lindsay Schrodeck, he names these people, has judged over 120 students at tournaments in Massachusetts, New York, and New Jersey. The NSDA has certified her with its cultural competency badge, so you can see where they're coming from, which indicates that she has completed a brief online training module in evaluating students with consideration for their identity and cultural background. Until last month, Schrodeck's paradigm told debaters, quote, if you are white, don't run arguments with impacts that primarily affect people of color. These arguments should belong to the communities they affect. Basically, here's a whole area that you cannot talk about. If you are white, you cannot discuss things that have anything to do with people of color. What is the point of a debate? That is why you're there, is to talk about these things. Here's another one. This is crazy. One judge gives people of color priority in her debates. In general, students, and this is the way they work, you exchange information ahead of time. So you have your research and you give it to your other team and they give you yours. She says in this, and I can't quote this, but she uses racial epithets to say, N-word doesn't have to disclose to you, but you do have to disclose to N-word people.
I don't understand how that person even can moderate a debate.
I don't either. It's full on racial discrimination, and she's using these loaded words, of course. And the point being that if you're black, you get to keep your evidence to yourself and have a competitive advantage. If you're not black, you must disclose all of your evidence to your opponent because they're at a disadvantage, is what she's saying. This is, I think this isn't a surprise to read these kinds of things. These are the kind of things we see pervasive in all aspects of society, and especially academia. But what struck me about this is that it's in a debate setting. This is where free speech is supposed to exist. This is where the clash happens.
This is where conversation and ideas are shared, and good ideas are promoted, and bad, you weed out the bad ideas from the good ideas. It's really interesting. I want to say this, and everybody listen to what I'm saying. If you have to put your thumb on the scale to win, what you are saying is, I don't believe that I'm good enough to win without that.
Yes.
My ideas aren't good enough. If it's a sport, my gameplay isn't good enough. You are admitting that you are not good enough to win on a fair playing field.
But these people, and especially hard leftist progressives, especially those in academia, again, they are now just fully okay with that. They are okay with saying, I don't really believe in free speech. I believe in censored speech as long as it favors my preordained positions.
Right. Well, that's the whole thing about free speech in general. It's the speech you disagree with that needs protection, not the speech you agree with. It's not free speech if everybody's like just going along to get along.
What's sad is that used to be a commonly held belief among even the left. And in the last 5 years, it's as if we've put a term on it, and I'll use that term here, TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. It's like a lot of the principles that these people stood by. They said, he's so bad that I'm now going to abandon all of my principles.
Well, the thing about it is, I don't think it's that. I think it's we're in control now, and therefore we can control the narrative, and we don't want to lose control. It was never about the freedom of speech for them. It was about control and power, and whenever it's not their speech that's being censored, they don't care because they're, quote unquote, winning.
But tell me if I'm wrong, that that did exist and has existed in leftist ideology for some time, progressive ideology. But it was as if Trump gave them the license to use it. It was as if they said, yes, now we're going to go ahead and go full bore into these things. Because they weren't high, this has been around pre-Trump. But it was like they said, all hands on deck, batten down the hatches. We're getting rid of everything that we ever stood for in the name of getting rid of this guy.
Is it true, though, that they ever really, truly stood for that? Or was it just a means to gain power?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
That to me is the real question. Are people really fans of freedom of speech, freedom of business, freedom in general? Or they just play that way until they get control, and then they're like, let's take it all away from you?
I think it's been a slide. I don't know that it's even in their own minds. They've said, well, we'll just wait for this opportunity. They just finally saw it and said, forget it. I'm going to let it go of it.
I mean, and we've talked about this before as well. The whole, we've got to protect democracy. So in the process of doing that, we're going to destroy democracy.
Yeah, we need to protect free speech so much that we need to destroy free speech. Yeah.
It's heart-wrenching. It's depressing, actually.
It is, but it is our job to point it out, and that is why we're here. Although this is a Friday, and so, like I said, we're going to try to have a little bit lighter stuff as the day goes on. We're getting this heavy stuff right now. And in fact, in the next segment, Brad has brought some clips that he said are just fantastic, and I deliberately didn't listen to them because I want to listen to them with you for the first time. AOC spoke from the House floor. Was this yesterday? Yesterday or the day before?
Yeah, it was past couple days at least.
So AOC spoke and said something that she could have gotten away with. But Chip Roy on the House floor got up after her and said, hang on a second. I want to address what you said right there. And it's one of those like, oh, here comes the folding chair moments in the wrestling ring. I'm going to play that next here on the Annie Frey Show.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
I'm Brian Westbrook with Coalition Life. Over the past decade, Coalition Life has served thousands of women in crisis pregnancies, helping to save the lives of the children that they carry. Help us build a better community while also reducing or completely eliminating your Missouri taxes with a 70% tax credit. A $1,000 donation today to help these women could cost you as little as $141 out of pocket. Learn more at coalitionlife.com, coalitionlife.com. Thank you.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing, together millions of things, for our planet. When planning your summer vacation, pick a destination close to where you live to limit the impact of fuel to get there. There might even be areas of your own city you want to explore in depth. And if you're planning to go camping, learn how to have a leave no trace trip, so you can leave the campsite the same way or even cleaner than you found it. When we each share our one thing, it becomes 100 things, 1,000 things, 1,000,000 things for our planet. What's your one thing?
Retired or retiring soon? How much money do you need to live comfortably? Retirement Planners of America is here for you. Would you like to have financial peace of mind? Here's how. Step 1. Find out the amount of money you'll need to retire. Step 2, have a plan to get there. Step 3, make sure that plan can take advantage of market gains but protect you from market losses. Discover how to do all three with a free consultation at 800-508-6108. That's 800-508-6108.
All investments involve risk, including losses. Past performance does not guarantee future results.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
If you'd like to work with a local company that gives back to the community, Window World is the preferred window of your St. Louis Blues. Mark Cox here from my friends out at Window World. What a great product. A lifetime warranty. It covers all the parts, the glass breakage, the labor. You've heard me say that before. And they've been around for over 20 years. They have improved the look and the efficiency of over 70,000 homes in the greater St. Louis area. They had the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. That's hard to get, right? And that's important. They're ranked number one in the number of windows sold in the country by Qualified Remodeler magazine. Call them for a free estimate. Let them show you why they say simply the best for less. New doors, new windows. With Window World, they're now offering 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. 314-993-1800. That's 314-993-1800. Or you can go online anytime to windowworld.com.
This is a message for all St. Louis Metro homeowners. If you want to sell your house, but only the thought of it gives you a headache, Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis has great news for you. Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis can help you avoid any headache and will buy your house for cash in as-is condition, and you won't even have to do any repairs, cleaning, or paying any fees. Just call 314-782-8000 for a fast and easy solution and sell your house today. Chris buys all kinds of houses, inherited houses, vacant houses, fixer-uppers, and also beautiful houses. All you need to do is call Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis at 314-782-8000 and let Chris take care of everything for you. Call Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis, 314-782-8000 and get the peace of mind you deserve.
Coming up at 107, we have Charles Yates of Pacific Legal. They just scored a huge victory over in the Supreme Court. So right now the time is 12:30. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
A people, a state of mind, all in one. It's Wiggins America, and it's every Saturday from 6 to 8 a.m. and Sunday evenings from 5 to 7. So stamp your passport. Wiggins America, 97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Yeah, the boys are back in town. Hannah did all that music yesterday. She's not here today. Annie is out too, which means it's Brad and I for the Manny Fry Show, as we like to call it. Drew is filling in for Hannah, and he will be in for her in the next segment. Actually, for me, essentially, is because he's doing Wiggins America.
So Drew's going to be in for Hannah, who was going to be in for you.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay. You got it. So that's next. We're looking forward to that. In the meantime, now I had some things prepared for this segment, but I kind of blew them all out of the water because Brad said that I got to hear this. And I actually deliberately didn't listen to them ahead of time because I know the players involved. And when you know that the other team has their queen and their bishops and their knights, and the other team just has pawns, you go, I think I know how this game ends. And this is one of those that AOC stepped up yesterday and said something that's very AOC. And then Chip Roy, who is very intelligent.
Yes.
That dude has come on the stage in a way that nobody really knew until this Kevin McCarthy stuff when they were trying to elect speakers. Like, he came to the forefront.
I've been following him a little bit before that, but I'm an extreme nerd. So I see some of these people, and I'm like, this guy's going to be a star.
Yeah, but it depends. You know, like there's a moment that somehow they switch over. And I remember in the 15 votes that it took to get McCarthy as speaker back in January that we were all kind of watching for days, you know, it was very dramatic. Chip Roy was one of the, and Byron Donalds was another.
Yes.
That Fox News in particular, and Brian Kilmeade actually in particular, it was like you watch them go, oh, this guy's real good.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have access to all these people, but the Nationals, they do.
Yeah.
And so you started to see Chip Roy come onto the scene as one of those people who was not only drawing a hard line in the sand on many different procedures, really, stuff that we don't always get to see, but we're actually seeing play out right now in how the debt ceiling negotiations are happening, because the speaker used to have almost unilateral control over the caucus. And that is not the case as much now.
Not on the GOP side.
Not on the GOP. That's right. Still on the Democrat side, it's pretty much Hakeem Jeffries can just say, this is the way you're going to vote. And they kind of do. Not on the GOP side and not in this Congress. And Chip Roy was one of the chief people who kind of engineered what that looked like, because you did have a lot of chaos among roughly 15 Republicans who weren't on board with McCarthy at first. Getting kind of off point here, but, you know, setting up the context that they said, we don't necessarily want you to just do business as usual.
Right.
And a lot of them were just saying, we don't want business as usual, but they weren't saying what they did want.
Right.
And Chip Roy was saying specifically, here are rules and procedures that we want changed. And it was as if national conservative media went, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about.
Well, he said that, I want these rules and things changed. And Kevin McCarthy goes, you got it.
Yeah, he did. And that's how this happened. And then they still had to get a couple of stragglers because they only had a 5-seat majority. So you even though you got those 8 to 10, you still had to get a couple more to get him the speaker. So it still lasted a little bit beyond that. So anyway, that's all the context. Here is what happened. I think yesterday, Brad said it's either yesterday or the day before. AOC spoke on the House floor. Here's what she said.
But they are accusing Democrats of saying we spend too much. For anyone that wants to entertain that thought, I ask you to think about the last time a person has said in this country that the government does too much for them, that their Social Security check was too high, that teachers are paid too much. When was the last time anyone has heard or seen that?
Okay, I'm hearing this for the first time too. So she's saying, when was the last time you heard someone say that the government does too much?
Yes, that was the question.
Whoops. All right. So I'm thankful in a way for people like AOC, because they're good communicators in that they get their message out, because they're just good at being media personalities in a way.
On this one, though, like, if you follow volleyball, this is like AOC is a setter at the net, and she sets the volleyball, but she kind of missets it. So it goes over.
She sets it for the other team.
The other team.
Exactly. And she does that a lot. She says what everybody's thinking. She says what is actually they're actually doing. They just mostly don't say that.
Right.
Because it's too easy to combat. And so Chip Roy heard that and said, oh, wow, okay. And so he got up to speak after her at some point. I don't know if it was directly after, but it was in the same session. And again, I'm going to listen to this for the first time with you. He said this.
When was the last time anyone has heard or seen that? I'll say it. I'll say it right here. I don't want the government doing most of the things that the government is doing to interfere with the ability of the American people to carry out their lives. Federal, state, and local. When was the last time you had a bureaucrat show up and you said, oh, joy? Thank you. I'm really glad there's a bureaucrat here. When was the last time you were thankful for $32 trillion in debt, $100,000 almost for every man, woman, and child in America? Anybody thankful for $32 trillion in debt? Anybody? Anybody thankful for a border that's wide open being exploited by cartels while fentanyl comes in and kills our children? Everybody thankful for that Department of Homeland Security that doesn't actually secure the homeland?
I really wish that I could just see a live C-SPAN shot of AOC while he's talking.
Yeah. But there's more to this.
Okay.
And this is where he really grabs the folding chair out from underneath the ring.
Okay, so that was clip one. What's so amazing about this is that he didn't have this prepared that day. He just goes, oh, and he got up and spoke. Okay, so here's the rest of it.
Everybody thankful for an FBI that went after Scott Smith and labeled him a domestic terrorist for daring to defend his daughter in a school board meeting because she was assaulted in a bathroom? Anybody thankful for the IRS knocking on your door, auditing the poor and the minorities 3 to 5 times more? People thankful for that? Are you thankful for the EPA or the Department of Interior that sent a man to prison because he had some ponds on his ranch in Montana?
It's getting good.
We have a government that is weaponized against the American people and is undermining our liberties, and they want more of it. My colleagues on the other side of the aisle want more government. They want more taxes. They want more spending. They want more bureaucrats knocking on your door.
Oh, thank you, AOC. Wow. Yeah, he did get to the point there.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought in the first one, the stuff he mentioned about the debt, that was the most important of what he said. Then he gets into a government weaponized against the people. That's the key.
Yeah.
Of her saying, whoever said we don't want the government doing more. That's amazing. One more piece of sound that you pulled that I actually have heard this, and I saw the poll ahead of the reporting on it that I wanted to play. This is from Jake Tapper. Jake Tapper's changing.
He's facing some hard truths is what he's doing.
Maybe, but there's been hard truths for a long time.
Yeah, but he doesn't have the foil on the other side.
You're right.
To mask him.
He doesn't have somebody to point at and go, yeah, but they. So Jake Tapper is reporting on a poll that I saw actually earlier this week that I wanted to pull up, but we've just had a lot going on. And I've talked about polls quite a bit too, especially in light of DeSantis's announcement. Here is one that, keep in mind what he's talking about here is a CNN poll. So they're not reporting on, this is their own news organization.
And we're back with our 2024 lead. Horrible news. Horrible for Joe Biden in our new CNN poll. While the president leads his Democratic competitors by a huge margin, 2/3 of all of the American people surveyed, 66% of the public, say that a Biden victory would either be a setback or a disaster for the United States.
Let me say that one more time. According to CNN's poll, 66% of Americans believe that a Biden victory in 2024 would be either a setback or a disaster for America. 66% of Americans. That does not bode well for the sitting president. Now, what does that mean for Republicans? Well, you'd have to think that that's a number that Republicans would really like to hang their hat on. I don't know that it secures a victory for Republicans because, like we were talking about, Brad, obviously, we've been discussing this for ages now. Trump comes with a lot of baggage. Everybody's already made their mind up on Trump, which is one of the biggest selling points for somebody like DeSantis or really anybody other than Trump. However, this would even seem to benefit a Donald Trump, wouldn't you think?
Well, I think it benefits everybody that is not Joe Biden at this point. It could, like, if people are saying 66% is 2/3. 2/3 of the people are saying it would either be a setback or a disaster for the United States. That benefits anybody not named Joe Biden who has set plans to become president of the United States. That means that the ground is open and wide open for another candidate to come in on the Democratic side. It also means that Donald Trump has better prospects. It means Ron DeSantis has a lot better prospects. Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, I could go on and on and on. Anybody not named Donald Trump has better. Ryan, you have a better shot at becoming president now.
Thank you. Tucker Carlson does not. He sent a cease and desist saying, do not associate me with this campaign. I do like polls like this, especially at this stage of the game. As everybody knows, I'm a polls guy. I'm a data guy. I like looking at this stuff. At this stage in the game, it's just too early to really be looking at head-to-heads too much. I think it's interesting. Don't get me wrong. I like looking at it. But when you see a poll that is overwhelming, that's when you sort of, your eyebrows go up a little bit and you go, oh, that one's interesting. And this one is one of those.
Right.
That gives you a temperature on the nation that really, if we were in full partisan mode, maybe this shifts back to the middle. Maybe it becomes 50% they say that he'd be a disaster and a setback, and 50% say that he wouldn't. But right now, as a snapshot of America, and they're specifically talking about a 2024 election, 66%, 2 out of 3 people saying that it would be a setback or a disaster to have him as president again. That's noteworthy.
Yeah. Now, couple things. I've seen videos start circulating again. I don't know if you remember during 2020, the "Please Don't Make Me Vote for Joe Biden" videos that were circulating.
No, I haven't seen those.
Oh, man. Well,
look it up.
Yeah, extreme leftists making videos. Please don't make me vote.
Oh, it's leftist. Yes, I have.
Please don't make me vote for Joe Biden. They're starting to pop up again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing, though. Those people still voted for Joe Biden. So this doesn't necessarily translate into votes. It translates into satisfaction with the Biden presidency.
Yeah. It's a binary choice. I mean, that is what an election is. We're going to have to vote in the primary between a number of candidates, and you got to make a choice. If you're going to vote at all, you got to make a choice. And then it is going to be a binary choice. I mean, some people would say, no, it's not. There's third-party candidates. And maybe this year there might be. I mean, you guys are really high on the idea that Manchin would run as a third party.
He would run. I think he would run Andrew Yang's party. What is that group called?
The Forward Party.
The Forward Party.
Yeah.
I think that there will be a candidate coming out from the Forward Party.
I do too. It's just a matter of will they be on the ballot in certain states, because every Democrat in every swing state is trying to block them from being on the ballot.
Well, they know what it means.
Because they know what that would mean for a potential Joe Biden presidency in 2024. All right, let's take a quick break. So we have Wiggins America coming up next. You might recognize that segment. It's mine. But I'm going to hand it over to Hannah, who is not here, who has handed it over to Drew. We'll see how that goes. That's coming up next on the Annie Frey Show.
The old men crazy. The boys are back in town. Boys are back in town.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
When I met little Ruthie in 2010, she was just 5 years old. She wasn't eating much, she had no school to go to, and she didn't know who Jesus was. In December of 2023, Ruthie will be joining 12 others in the first graduating class of Bethlehem Christian Academy in Zambia, Africa. Hi, my name is Martin Winslow, founder and president of BCA. When you support a child like Ruthie through BCA, you get to join us in being the hands and feet of Jesus. Our mission is dedicated to transforming lives by feeding and educating poor and orphan children in some of the poorest places in Africa and South Asia. BCA's ministry not only provides physical bread to these kids, but also spiritual bread through the Word of God. For just $36 a month, you can help a child have a hope of a better future, but more importantly, give them the opportunity to learn about Christ. You can also join us on a mission trip. In fact, many will be joining me this upcoming December to watch Ruthie receive her diploma. To find out more about how you can help children like Ruthie, please visit bcaministries.com. That's bcaministries.com.
Jewels on Hampton in St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches. Bring your collectibles and clocks, sports memorabilia, and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa. Call them at 314-752-5000. That's 314-752-5000. So if you need some extra cash, looking for that one-of-a-kind piece, make Jewels on Hampton your first stop. Jewels on Hampton in St. Louis Hills.
There are a lot of smart business people out there making smart decisions by getting Rhino Shield. The latest one, the Central Illinois Care Services, they have decided to go with Rhino Shield on the outside of their building so they won't have to worry about maintenance from now on. The list is long. Joe's Tire out in Sullivan, Stonehill Wineries in Herman. They've all got Rhino Shield on their buildings. You can have it on your business or your house. Just call 877-25-RHINO. Let Darren come out and give you a free estimate as to what it would cost to get this great product on your home. 25-year transferable warranty, 100% waterproof, 8 to 10 times thicker than paint. And as a satisfied customer, 15 years in, I can tell you it looks as good as the day they put it on. You're going to love Rhino Shield. Call them right now. Tell them you heard about it on the Mark Cox Morning Show. Again, 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Refresh, restore, and protect your investment. Call Zero Res to clean your business the right way so your floors and surfaces stay cleaner longer without the harmful chemicals the other guys use. Call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com. Ask for the Mark Reardon Special.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gslhonorflight.org. And for heating services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Conservative solutions, objective conclusions. For news and opinion, this is St. Louis's home for conservative talk. 97.1 FM Talk.
You shake my nerves and you rattle my brain. Too much love.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
It's the Manny Frey Show. It's Ryan. It's Brad. It's Drew filling in for Hannah. Hannah and Annie are out today, getting a jump start on the long weekend. I do want to mention Bonnie said this on the live stream, and these comments are welcome. She says, I kind of like the man show with no girls. And look, we miss the girls. We do.
Yeah.
But we understand how you could get on the live stream and be like, hey, there's a gun show happening. I might as well attend. So you're invited. Ladies, you're invited to the Annie Frey Show live stream. One day only. It's men in the studio. So with that in mind, Drew is filling in for Wiggins America. Wiggins! Wiggins! Smooth. Drew, take it away.
I want to compliment you on hitting the post there. That was good.
Oh, is that what we do? Is hitting the post? Like I started talking when he started singing?
Yeah.
Okay. I
just want to compliment you on that.
Yeah, thank you.
Doing radio stuff.
Usually that's what I do to Annie, but thank you.
Over here doing radio stuff.
Yeah,
Look at you go.
I know. I did a little research on Wiggins America, so
so you knew that was my place, and that's why. Thank you. Well informed.
There you go.
All right, Drew. Cool.
So I want to start off and ask you guys, what does the future in 100 years look like to you?
Clearly, I'm still alive, but I'm in like a biodome, and I am king of my biodome. But my biodome is not huge, like, big fish, small pond kind of scenario.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Brad?
Well, I thought we'd have flying cars by now, but we don't. So I'm going to take a little more dystopian angle on the future. I think it'll be a little more dystopian. Little
Mad Max?
Not quite that dystopian. More, what is it? Blade Runner dystopian?
Okay.
AI and robots and
entertainment's still there.
1984.
Yeah, maybe not like that, but just kind of grungy.
1984 is now.
Yeah,
that's not future.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's true. But yes, today for Wiggins America, we are going to talk a little bit about AI, and we're also going to talk about Neuralink. You guys mentioned it earlier. Are you familiar with Neuralink?
Not well enough. So yeah, I would love if you could explain it, because it's I keep seeing the word and like Elon Musk is associated with it, but I don't exactly know what this is.
So it's a startup company. I think it started like not a couple years ago, but he's one of the main, I guess, investors, and he obviously helps them come up with new ideas and what they want to do with Neuralink. For those who don't know, Neuralink is a brain chip that it's like
A
an
brain
implant.
chip?
It's an implant.
Okay.
Essentially, that the idea is to start off, it's to help people with like paralysis, help people with depression, to try to fix their neural pathways. So
It's always to help.
I mean,
Well, I mean,
exactly.
that's the way it's always presented. Is this is the way forward for people who need it.
Yeah, I've seen some of the testing that they've done with like pigs and stuff like that, and how they've gotten. I forget. It was like
there's a 3 Little Pigs experiment.
Yeah.
So
I got to tell you, when you say that it helps with paralysis, I say, oh, that's actually neat. Like if there's some sort of signal missing between a person and their hand or something like that, you're saying this could maybe repair that. It does scare me when you say it might cure depression, because then you're starting to talk about changing people's brains. And if you suffer from depression, I'm sure you're going, man, I kind of would take anything. So I get that. But the minute you start to change, you can, with a chip, change people's emotional states. I get a little concerned about where that goes. Maybe that's where you're headed with this.
Well, that raises the question. I mean, what does it mean to be humans? I know you guys both are men of faith, so you have a certain idea of what it means to be human, right?
Yeah. And it's specifically whenever you're talking about a chip being implanted in your brain, it brings it harkens to some stuff that is in the Bible that makes me go,
I mean, like maybe in your forehead or your hand. Maybe you use it to buy or sell.
So with that, the reason we bring this up is because the FDA recently approved human testing. I think that was yesterday, but they approved human testing and we'll see if this is a thing that takes off in the future. I know if you guys are familiar with Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
So-
Isn't he the #1 influencer in the world now or something?
Yeah. He has a large company. So if we're taking it to a company level, then no. But as a single person on YouTube, I think he has like 144 million subscribers. So very influential person. He said he would take it. He wouldn't be the first round of testing.
So we're talking about, just for the average person, you could get a chip planted in your brain. But if you don't have sort of like one of the problems you listed, what is the purpose of having it?
Well, this raises the idea of humans. I talk about this all the time with my friends. I don't know. Humans being symbiotic with technology. Are we already there? But one idea that Elon Musk brought up is being able to learn different languages like very quickly. And
oh my gosh,
you're talking about like the Matrix stuff. Remember when they plug him in, he's like, I know Kung Fu.
Exactly. Yeah. But do you guys think that humans are already symbiotic with technology?
Symbiotic, I would say symbiotic in the sense that we work. I guess symbiotic means though that we work together.
Yeah, symbiotic would imply that the technology is gaining something from us.
Yeah,
exactly.
Which it's not a separate entity. It doesn't have a will. It's not sentient at this point.
That's the thing. Is will AI get to the point of being sentient? And that's the benefit for AI. But to be symbiotic, it has to be an organism. So that's the thing. Will this brain chip go to like a network, and our brains like feeding this network information?
Drew, you obviously follow this very closely. Are we talking about this being, so the FDA has approved it for human consumption ultimately? Testing. Okay. So are we talking about this being available in a year, or are we looking at, are they saying 10 years? What are they saying that this could be available for the average person to do?
So I guess it depends on how the trials go, because they did test it on animals. There's one report that since 2018, 1,500 animals have been killed
with
using
this.
Yes, but I mean, we try other things with animals, like different tests in America, even in America. And I mean, what happens to the animals after, we don't know.
Yeah.
Wow, this is wild.
Yeah. So like it begs the question, what exactly are they testing with this? Is if you can volunteer for this, do they need people with certain disabilities, disorders, or something like that? Or are they just testing to say, hey, if we plug this into your brain, does it kill you?
So there was somebody with paralysis that implanted in their brain, because this has been used on humans, not in America, but they can basically control like robotic arms and like use that, because if they can't use their limbs, they can use that to like feed themselves, type on the internet.
And see, that seems neat to me.
It's so altruistic, and there's so much upside, but it's that there's
the
also that
downside.
downside that makes me go,
You know, it's always like technology is just going to be abused. Like the first time they can figure out how to use this technology for porn, they're going to do it. Drew, you're obviously really plugged in on this stuff. As you fill in or as we see you around, keep us updated. Be our correspondent on this, because it's a fascinating topic. We're going to wrap up here for this hour. We'll be back.
I misread the time.
If it's 57.
57.
Well, we're going to wrap up this hour regardless in a minute. In the next segment, Pacific Legal is going to be here. I mentioned this yesterday, that the EPA just had a huge loss at the Supreme Court. And I said, Brad, for tomorrow, this was yesterday, we need to get Pacific Legal on to talk about this. I had no idea that they were the ones arguing the case
this is
before
really
the
cool.
Supreme Court. So this is a great get that we've got next. They're going to fill us in on what this means, not just with that case, but what it means really for the administrative, the deep state and the power. Is the Supreme Court limiting anybody other than the EPA here? Does this have ramifications to go beyond that? By the way, also, before we get to the top here, check out the YouTube live chat poll. It is today. What does your weekend look like? You going out of town? You sticking around? You're working? We're going to talk about that in the 2 o'clock hour. More of the Annie Frey Show, which we are calling the Manny Frey Show, because all the girls are gone today. Coming up next here on 97.1 FM Talk.
Hi, this is Steve Butts with the Crawford Butts Insurance Agency. I know we're all experiencing sticker shock when you get your insurance premium. Now more than ever, you need an independent insurance agent to find the best value for your family's insurance needs. Crawford Butts, family owned and operated for more than 60 years. Please give us a call at 314-752-2500 or at crawfordbutts.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
As the familiar tune fills the air, joy radiates along with the heat of flickering flames. You make a wish for another year surrounded by the ones you love. With each passing year, the compassionate team at Prairie Cardiovascular will be by your side with heart care that allows you to focus on what matters most. A life well lived. Prairie Cardiovascular, here with you.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio, 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
An Army veteran is headed to prison over the Capitol riot. Lisa Brady, Fox News. She's the latest member of the Oath Keepers sent to prison.
A federal judge has sentenced Jessica Watkins to 8.5 years behind bars after jurors convicted her of obstruction and conspiracy to impede Congress's certification of President Joe Biden's victory. Watkins tearfully apologized for her actions on January 6th before sentencing, describing herself as, quote, just another idiot running around the Capitol. She's the third member of the Oath Keepers, a far-right extremist group, to be sentenced this week. The group's founder, Stuart Rhodes, was given 18 years in prison, the longest sentence so far in the Capitol riot cases.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. 4 more members of the group are scheduled for sentencing next week. South Carolina's new 6-week abortion ban is on hold, blocked by a judge until a review by the state Supreme Court, which ruled a previous ban was unconstitutional. Iowa's Republican governor signing a bill that bans teachers from raising gender and sexual orientation issues through 6th grade. The bill also removes sexually explicit books from school libraries and requires administrators to tell parents if a student requests a change in name or pronoun. The search continues for common ground between the White House and House Republicans, but one negotiator says differences on the details are getting thornier.
If they forge a deal, it could be one both sides dislike, but they're willing to vote yes because it avoids a debt ceiling crisis.
Fox's Chad Pergram on Capitol Hill.
Here's a blue sky scenario. They get a deal this weekend. The House votes next week, the Senate next weekend. A dark sky scenario, no deal at all, or a deal leaders can't sell.
The Treasury is warned of a possible default as early as late next week. President Biden will spend part of the weekend at Camp David and in Delaware. Many lawmakers also leaving Washington for now. America is listening to Fox News.
At SimpliSafe, we know during a break-in, every second counts. So our home security system is powered by 24/7 professional monitoring agents who use Fast Protect technology, only from SimpliSafe, to capture video evidence and verify a threat for fast police response. Now, install SimpliSafe your way. Do it yourself or have an expert set it up for you with new Pro Install. Get 20% off any new system with interactive monitoring at simplisafe.com/radio. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
Jesse Kelly here. I'm not a financial expert, but I do look for solid investment opportunities for investment growth and protection against loss. I do know that putting all your eggs in one basket is not a good financial plan. Securing your IRA or 401k with real gold and silver with Oxford Gold is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Or you can buy precious metals and keep them in your safe. One app, one call, and you pick your precious metals. That's 833-404-GOLD. That's 833-404-GOLD.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
It's a great Friday afternoon, sunny and nice today, 79 for the high. Tonight, clear skies, 70s this evening, cool again overnight, 52. Saturday, sunny and 82. Sunday, partly sunny, maybe a spot shower, but almost impossible to find. Don't worry about it. 82. Monday, partly sunny. It's a little warmer, 88, maybe a spot storm, but also almost impossible to find. This is 97.1 FM Talk, Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
97.1 FM Talk. You're here, which means you've made at least one great decision today. St. Louis is home for conservative talk. This is 97.1 FM Talk.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
If you want to lose weight, I've got a great idea for you. Mark Cox here for my friends at Victory Men's Health. They're now offering FDA-approved semaglutide. They have tremendous results with this medication. The average patient loses 15% of their body weight. Men and women can get semaglutide from Victory Men's Health at any of their 3 locations. Be sure and book your appointment today online at victorymenshealth.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
When companies decide to take shortcuts, the safety of our families are at risk. At Underlaw, we find and expose those shortcuts.
Call Law Personal Injury Lawyers at 314 or 618 $9
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how to link to the market without the risk. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go online to retirementkey.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
The way that we see it, it aims to, the court's decision today aims to take our country backwards. It will jeopardize the sources of clean drinking water for farmers, businesses, and millions of Americans. Look, the Clean Water Act is the reason why America's lakes today are swimmable, why we can fish in our streams and rivers, and why safe drinking water comes out of our taps.
That's the White House press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, talking about the Supreme Court's unanimous decision. So she's against the unanimous ones, even the ones that involve the three liberal justices. On the phone with us right now is Charles Yates. He's with Pacific Legal. Charles, I believe that we've spoken before on my weekend show. I don't know if we've ever had you on the Annie Frey Show, so welcome.
Thank you so much for having me on. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, so when I've heard this case, I didn't even know that this was Pacific Legal that was arguing this before the Supreme Court. You guys are on a roll. You've won, 15 of your 17 cases you've argued recently?
That's correct. Yes. We're doing well. We're very happy with the results this term.
No kidding. So if you can, please fill us in. And I briefly mentioned this case yesterday when I saw that the decision had been made. But fill us in on what this case means for specifically the EPA and the businesses who were suing.
Yes, certainly. So as I'm sure your listeners are familiar with, the Clean Water Act, it creates a permitting regime which empowers EPA and the Army Corps of Engineers to regulate the discharge of pollutants into so-called navigable waters of the waters of the United States. So that's the key. But for the last 50 years, as I'm sure your listeners are very much aware, these federal agencies have continued to ramp up their authority and usurp power to themselves to the point where they can claim the authority to regulate virtually anything. If it's damp, they claim they can regulate it. And that's precisely what happened to the Sacketts here. The Sacketts tried to build a single-family home on a residentially zoned 3/4 of an acre block in a residential subdivision, quintessentially ordinary exercise of land use activity. And here we have EPA and the Army Corps of Engineers came in and said they couldn't do that, threatened them with ruinous penalties, and they've now had to fight for the last 16 years in order for their right just to build a home on their property. Now, importantly, EPA was claiming the authority to halt this project under something they call the significant nexus test, which comes from a 2006 concurring opinion from Justice Kennedy. And under that test, EPA and the Army Corps essentially claim the authority to regulate virtually anything that's damp, provided using technical or scientific expertise, they could map a sort of attenuated connection to a true water that would be regulated under the Clean Water Act. Importantly, what the Supreme Court has done here, it unanimously rejected that significant nexus test. It unanimously held that the Sacketts property is not subject to Clean Water Act authority, and that the significant nexus test, which the agencies have used to usurp authority, is illegal. Also importantly, a 5-justice majority of the court has set forth a clear and reasonable test which no longer will allow EPA and the Army Corps to regulate as broadly as they've been claiming, and restores Congress's initial intent in passing the Clean Water Act.
Well, fantastic. Yeah, this is a big victory, especially since it was a unanimous victory. I understand that different justices issued different opinions, but still a 9-0 is a 9-0. Now, let me ask you narrowly, before we get to maybe the broader implications here, narrowly, when you hear a case, average American hears a case about the EPA, you might think that doesn't really impact them much. But explain how this might impact even somebody listening today beyond the family, the Sacketts, who were suing.
Yeah, so yes, this has significant implications for property owners around the country. And the reason being is that the Clean Water Act, it creates two permitting regimes. It creates one permitting regime which regulates the discharge of sort of mobile pollutants, what one might traditionally think is water pollution. So say discharging a pollutant, a mobile pollutant like mercury directly into a river or something like that. But there's an additional permitting regime that empowers the agencies to regulate the discharge of dredge and fill material. So simple dredge and fill activities. And because they claimed such broad authority to regulate wetlands, they were claiming that virtually anything that is damp, if you did something that might disturb that area, they could come in, they could sue you, they could make you get a federal permit, they could even send you to prison for doing something you couldn't possibly have known was illegal. So the sort of activities that the agencies have claimed authority over under this 404 permit program, combined with their incredibly broad understanding of what is a navigable water, include just really ordinary activities like putting a foundation down to build a home, like what the Sacketts were doing, or earth-moving activity in furtherance of that. Even the most basic activities, we've had clients in the past who have found themselves in EPA and the Army Corps' crosshairs, farmers who are doing something as simple as ploughing a field to plant wheat because the agencies claimed that by disturbing topsoil in a damp area they claimed was a navigable water was a dredge and fill that required a federal permit.
So Charles Yates is on the phone with us. He's with Pacific Legal. They just argued this case with about the EPA before the Supreme Court this week and got a victory. Now, broadly, that's the narrow what it means right now for people concerning the EPA. I want to know if this has any implications broader for the federal government at large. Is this sending a message from the Supreme Court to other federal agencies that you can't overstep your boundaries?
I think it sends a very strong message. For so many years, agencies have essentially claimed policy-making authority. So, under our separation of powers, our elected representatives in the Congress, as democratically elected representatives, they have the power to create policy, to legislate, to make laws that touch on the lives of individuals. But for so many years, federal agencies have claimed authority under broad grants from Congress to essentially engage in the policymaking process themselves. And that's precisely what EPA and the Army Corps have done with these WOTUS rules, is they've said, well, we're going to define what is a navigable water. And in doing so, we're going to take into account what we think is best for the environment and for water quality. They're essentially legislating. Rather than simply doing what Congress has instructed them to do, they're taking that and they're running with it and they're making policy that affects the lives of individuals. So by putting EPA and the Army Corps in their place in this case, what the Supreme Court has done, it has sent a very strong signal. It has said, we need to read the text of the statute. And federal agencies, bureaucrats in Washington, D.C., you need to read the text of the statute. And you cannot go further than what Congress has authorized to do. You are not lawmakers. You're in the executive branch. And that's something we're seeing in more and more decisions from the Supreme Court, this restoration of the separation of powers. And there is important implications of the Sackett case for that, because it sends a very strong message to the agencies. And the decision itself contains a few important kind of side notes about agency authority under statutes passed by Congress.
So, Charles, what I hear you saying is that it is definitely sending a message to other organizations, other agencies in the federal government outside the EPA. The question is, do there need to be lawsuits that reach the Supreme Court concerning all other branches of government now? Or does this have the intended effect that all other branches kind of see this and go, oh, I see the writing on the wall?
Well, you would hope that it did. You would really hope that it did. But unfortunately, it seems federal agencies, we've seen it time and time again, are unwilling to heed the warnings of the judicial branch. They're power hungry, and they'll interpret things narrowly and continue doing what they're doing. So I'd say, unfortunately, we're going to see continued litigation over illegal agency power. But I will say that some of the dicta in the Sackett opinion will be very helpful in those fights and in putting federal executive branch agencies back within their proper role within the separation of powers.
Well, Charles, as usual, since we're dealing with a political environment, I mean, this is politics. Ultimately, it comes to the court. It's all involved with political agencies and things like that. You have politicians weighing in. I saw this morning that Fox News wrote an article about Chuck Schumer, who said that he is extremely disappointed with this decision and saying that this is a quote unquote MAGA court. Even though, again, this was a 9-0 decision that was made, his quote was, "This MAGA Supreme Court is continuing to erode our country's environmental laws. Make no mistake, this ruling will mean more polluted water and more destruction of wetlands." Now, I understand that you're arguing a specific case, but is there any merit to what he's saying?
Well, I'll start with a disclaimer that I'm no expert on politics or what Mr. Schumer may or may not have said. But I will say that's an absurd suggestion. This decision was 9-0. It was a unanimous decision rebuking the agencies for their usurpation of authority and their claim of limitless authority. Sure, there was a concurrence and there was a majority opinion. There was some disagreement in the reasoning. But to suggest that this is somehow a partisan decision is utterly absurd given the unanimity of the court in slapping down EPA in their illegal activities. I'll also note something that's really important when we're talking about water pollution and the potential impacts of this decision is that this decision, all it does is it restores the agency to their proper role. It brings some proper discipline to the federal-state balance. The Clean Water Act itself recognizes that state and local governments have primary authority over land and water use, and the federal government just has limited authority under this statute. So there is nothing in this decision that would prevent the states and local governments from regulating wetlands as they say fit. And that's how it should be within our federal system. It should be state and local representatives who know and understand local conditions that are setting policy for something like wetlands preservation, not bureaucrats in Washington, D.C.
Exactly. And it's one of the reasons I think I love to see that you guys are out there doing what you do with Pacific Legal. You guys are racking up victories. Like we said at the beginning of the segment here, you've won 15 out of your 17 cases before the Supreme Court. You guys are making a name for yourself. You're doing great work. How do people connect with Pacific Legal if they want to find out more about what you have done or what you're doing currently?
Yeah, so I'd encourage people to go to our website, pacificlegal.org, and you can read about our public interest work, litigating to defend private property rights and the constitutional freedoms that make this country such a great place.
Charles, really appreciate your time and keep us informed. Keep us at the top of the list when you guys are there. Love getting the inside scoop.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me on. Have a wonderful day. Happy Memorial Day weekend.
Yes, you as well. Charles Yates, he is from Pacific Legal. Very, very cool stuff. I mentioned that yesterday. I was so excited that they were the ones arguing that case before the Supreme Court.
That's really kind of cool.
Yeah, Brad. When I talked about that story, I said, "Oh, we need to get a Pacific Legal on there before the Supreme Court all the time." And then found out, oh, they were the ones doing the case at the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Kind of happy accident we fell into that. So having a good relationship with those guys. Love what they're doing. And by the way, when he says Happy Memorial Day, we echo that to you as well. Happy Memorial Day weekend. I guess it's not really Happy Memorial Day. You know, people kind of criticize saying Happy Memorial Days, but you know, the sentiment being that we hope you have a good, a relaxing, whatever it is for you, an honorable Memorial Day weekend. That is actually the subject of our YouTube live chat poll today, too. If you get on the Annie Frey Show YouTube live chat poll page, is that what we call it, Brad? I don't know.
Just to jump in the YouTube chat.
Whatever.
It's right there.
What are your plans for this weekend? Going out of town, sticking around, working? Are you work? Do you got to work? Let us know. We'd like to know what your weekend is going to look like. And by the way, while you're there, the segment that's coming up next is a segment. It's one of the only things we're doing normally this Friday, because normally we have X's and O's in the 2 o'clock hour. We got a lot of fun coming up in the 2 o'clock hour, by the way. Stick around for that. But we are going to do Ask Me Anything with a sort of a surrogate crew today. So Brad and I are here like normal, but Annie and Hannah are out for the weekend. We're going to have Drew, who did Wiggins America, step back in, be a part of Ask Me Anything. So ask your questions there. We're also going to kind of break up the Manny Frey show by having Anna come in, who's been on the show many times. She's going to be part of Ask Me Anything too. So if you want to ask us anybody in particular of those four, any particular questions, that's fine. If you want to ask an overall question, also fine. We'll be doing that up next here on the Manny Frey Show, 97.1 FM Talk.
Lose your love tonight.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
You know I do anything for you. Stay alive but keep it undercover. I just want to use your love tonight.
Partnering with Stewie at Stewart's American Mortgage is the smart way to get your mortgage for the house that you've been looking for. Rates have come down a little bit from their super high highs. And when you are looking to buy a house and you can save money, thousands of dollars, by not having to pay closing costs, why would you go anywhere else? I trust Stewie so much that I have done 2 bagel loan refinances with Stewie a few years ago. Both times I was able to lower my rate. He might be able to lower yours as well. If you're looking to refinance with the bagel loan, you can talk to him about how to do that and to get that rate down from maybe where you secured it if you had to buy a house 6, 8, 10 months ago when rates were super high. Save money by using the bagel loan. If you want to purchase a home, you want to be able to quick close, you want to be able to save money on not having to pay closing costs, you want to be able to generate your own pre-approval letters on his website so you don't have to wait for a middleman. It's all with Stewie at Stewart's American Mortgage. Check them out at 314-324-4440, 314-324-4440. Google the bagel loan, NMLS number 226715.
McKelvey Homes was founded in 1898. This year, we are celebrating our 125th anniversary by giving $12,500 of free options on all homes sold through the end of June. And we will also make a donation of $1,898 to the Independence Center for every home sold. Visit McKelveyHomes.com for our current locations and to learn more information about McKelvey Homes. That's McKelveyHomes.com.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-924-7415. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-924-7415. 800-924-7415. 800-924-7415.
At Diamonds Direct, we know your first impression of us is probably bridal jewelry. Engagement rings, wedding bands, and yes, you're right, there's a reason we're the nation's premier bridal jewelry destination. But you're missing out if you don't also think about Diamonds Direct for jewelry gifts for other special moments, like birthdays, graduations, sweet 16s, anniversaries. Our collection of fashion jewelry is second to none. Cases filled with rings, bands, pendants, bracelets, colored gemstones, beautiful jewelry starting at around $300. Jewelry boxes across America are being filled with our diamond classics, like stud and hoop earrings and stunning tennis bracelets. Everyday jewelry that you can wear with anything. And know this, the same quality and value you appreciate in our bridal collections, you'll find as well in our fashion jewelry. No compromises. So as you celebrate all the amazing moments of your life, remember Diamonds Direct. Let us help you celebrate with a gift of lasting value. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion. Details, store hours, and more at diamondsdirect.com.
Hi, this is Brian with Velocity Home Buyers, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-782-3333. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition and any price range in the St. Louis area. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that needs updating, but you don't have the time or money for it? Great, because I love buying outdated houses. I buy vacant houses, job relocation houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 314-782-3333. That's 782-3333.
Hi, it's Scott and Andrea from Best Buy Flooring. Andrea, what are you doing on that pogo stick?
Scott, I'm springing into savings at Best Buy Flooring.
Right, because we have new spring deals on carpet, luxury vinyl, ceramic tile, carpet tile, laminate, sheet vinyl, and hardwood.
Don't forget free financing for qualified purchasers.
2 locations, 7301 North Lindbergh in Hazelwood, Missouri, and 1851 West US Highway 50 in O'Fallon, Illinois. Open 7 days a week.
Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy Flooring.
Our YouTube live chat poll today is, what are your plans for the weekend? Are you going out of town, sticking around, or are you working? Jump in the Annie Frey YouTube page chat and let us know. Thank you. The time is 1:25. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Congressman Mark Alford.
They've gone off the deep end to try to demonize farmers. We are losing 1,000 farms a month in America.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
St. Louis is home for conservative talk.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
I got a feeling that tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night.
Yeah, I know I'm getting old because I got a feeling tonight's going to be a good night too, because I have nothing planned. Nothing. I look at my schedule and I can't believe there's not a little dot on today. There is nothing in the schedule. I can't believe it. So tonight's going to be a good night because I can probably fall asleep at like 6:30. Speaking of partying, what's up, room? We got Brad, we've got Drew, we've got Anna. And we're going to do a segment here called Ask Me Anything.
I can't find that sounder.
Hey, all right. I'll just do the sound the whole time.
Yeah. Well, once I find it, I'll just run the music.
Sure. Okay.
Here it is. Here it is.
You have to ask me nicely. Don't make me beg here.
Ask me anything.
You'd think Brad was somebody who ran the board
You
regularly.
would think that, but Brad doesn't usually run the board on Fridays.
It's true.
Hannah
It's
does,
true.
and so all the stuff that happens on Fridays, I'm
You're
way
going,
rusty.
what is happening?
If you go back and listen to our X's and O's show, you can hear that there too. I'm just trying to get better at it, guys.
All right, Anna, since you are the newest to the room and you're breaking up the Manny Frey Show today, we will let you do the first question for Ask Me Anything. And you can ask online too, by the way. If you have questions, we'll look at those during the segment.
Okay, my first question is, do you have any irrational phobias and why?
Irrational phobias?
Yeah. I don't think my phobias are irrational. I'm
I know.
afraid of heights. I hate heights.
I have a really irrational phobia. So for some reason, ever since I was a kid, I have thought everybody gets stung by a bee one time in their life, just once. And so my sister's been stung, so I'm like, oh, she's good. Every time I see a bee, I've never been stung, and I think they all know that I've never been stung, and I think they're all out to get me.
Okay.
What if I told you that you're right? I don't know why it just became a game show.
What about you, Drew? Any
Well,
phobias?
I will say off the bee sting one, there was one time I was cutting the grass. I ran over it was a wasp
Oh,
nest,
no.
and I got stung. And when a wasp stings you, it gives you like a scent, and they all come after you.
Mhm.
Oh,
And-
really?
And they don't stop. Like a bee can sting you once, their stinger comes
Yep.
out and they die. A wasp can just tag you over and
Ooh,
over.
I
and
did
over
not
again.
know
I
that.
didn't know you could run over. I thought wasp nests were always built up high.
It fell off a tree. That's the thing.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
In light of that, I don't know if
irrational
this is
fears, no.
an irrational phobia, but I am very averse to building things. And I think I'm so bad at it that it makes me afraid to even try. And we're talking about not big things. I'm talking about like a shelf, you know? I mean, I'm so bad at doing things with my hands and doing things that you're really good at, Brad. Like anything that you could build or fix, you know how to do that stuff. And it is so intimidating to me.
Building and fixing things is a matter of having tools and YouTube.
I know, but I'm still bad at it. I'm still like, installing a seat in the car. You know, you can take them out and put them back in. When I had kids, you had to do that a lot. So I had to watch the same YouTube video like every other week to put a seat back into a Toyota Sienna and then take it back out.
Are we talking about a child seat or
No.
like
take the seat
the
out.
minivan seat out?
Yes.
I have the same thing when I'm wrapping presents. For
Oh,
some
I'm so
reason,
bad at
can
that.
never remember how to do it. I have to look up a YouTube video every single time.
I do it for tie and ties. I need a YouTube video to tie
I've
ties.
never even tried. I just leave them tied.
Well, once I get it and I
Yeah.
like the knot, I'm like, loosen that up.
Loosen it up. Over your head. It's back on.
All right.
You got one?
Yeah, I got one for you. So have you guys ever done a time capsule? If so, what'd you put in there? And second part of that question, if you did one today, what would you put in there?
Anybody else? I have done one.
Really?
Yeah, I did one.
I didn't do one personally. I was part of a group one with the school and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So we put some stuff in from our classroom, but it wasn't super exciting.
Yeah. In 20 years, people are going to dig it up and be like, wow, a Game Boy.
Yeah, check it out.
I still have this.
What would I put in there now? I think I would put some like Donald Trump election merchandise in there because I think that's something that people are going to dig up and go, whoa.
People for sure are going to look back at this era that we're in right now. Because, I mean, if he wins again, this will be like 2015 through 2025 is the beginning through another 4 years. You're talking about roughly 15 years that will be referred to as the Donald Trump era. I mean, that is a fact if he wins again, especially that people will look back on this and be like, man, what a crazy time. I think people will look back on this, hopefully, like it's the 60s and go, man, what a crazy time that was. I'm glad we settled that. And they go back to their flying cars.
I mean, you could put like some SpaceX stuff in there. Anything Elon Musk would be that's because I feel like we're on the, especially with SpaceX, we're on the verge of space travel, as space tourism. Even. So I think there's some cool stuff going on with that.
I can tell you what I put in my time capsule. This was really big back in the late mid 90s. I don't know why. Everybody was like, oh, I'm doing a time capsule. And so we did one in my parents' backyard that's got to still be there because it's under some landscaping. That all I can remember that I put in there was a couple of Lee Smith baseball cards. Because it was like, dude, this guy is such a dominant closer.
Yeah.
That people for years are going to be like, wow, Lee Smith. And he was. But how often do you ever think about Lee Smith now? And that is literally the only thing I can remember putting in. There was other stuff, but that's all I remember. Because I thought that whenever somebody digs this up, they were going to be finding treasure.
Dude, it's a Lee Smith rookie card.
Oh my gosh, 1989 Topps. That was a hot year.
Are time capsules meant for somebody else to find?
Yes.
I don't know.
Because I think a lot of people will do it for themselves too. But
Maybe.
I don't know.
The one that whenever we did it for that school, they were building a new building, so they put it in the foundation. So the idea being that whenever the building gets torn down, they're like, "Oh, we found the time capsule." And
I've never made one, but my dad did. The day of his high school graduation, him and all his friends dug a hole at their like football field and put a bottle of whiskey in there. And then at their reunion, they dug it back up and it was still there and they drank it.
Oh, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
The time capsules that I have one still sitting in my closet that says Millennium. Like it was a tin that was like the year 2000. Everybody's going to remember this. And it's like, well, yeah, we do. But it's just because it was a year, you know, like nothing really significant happened. It was like, wow, unbelievable. In fact, it was probably the end of an era because I always say like pop culture is very defined 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Then after 2000, it's like, it's kind of all blurry.
It's still recent though. So you got to give it time.
You're right. You got to give it some time. All right, I'm going to do one. It's based on a news story. I'll share the news story, and this is from our digital stuff. So, Anna, you probably have even read this. 45-year-old tech giant uses son's blood to make himself age in reverse.
I did see this.
The headline's a little deceiving because it sounds like it worked. And when you read it, you go, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's just getting his teenage son to like donate blood to him and he's having it injected. It's really strange. But it's talking about like, well, this is my Father's Day gift. The man looking to age in reverse is 45-year-old Brian Johnson, the founder of the web and mobile payment company called Braintree, which acquired Venmo last year and was sold to PayPal or something. So the dude's super wealthy and apparently wants to live forever. And the way that he's assuming that that'll happen is by getting blood transfusions from his son.
That's more common than you probably think. I heard about that years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
From family? Or
No,
just,
not from
just
family.
getting younger people's blood in you?
Yeah, it's wealthy people that want to live forever, and they just have a lot of money and they're bored.
So, okay, as our tech correspondent today,
Sure.
are people saying that this works? Is there any evidence?
That's what I was going to
for
say.
it?
If multiple people are doing it, it's been enough time that they should know if it doesn't work.
Exactly. And if nobody's proved, I mean, I guess it'd be hard to prove.
Yeah, you gotta wait like 20 years till the time capsule's
but
ready.
there's all sorts of quote unquote treatments that people still do that
Yeah.
we should know if they work or not work,
Yeah.
like sleeping with onions in your socks and stuff like that, and people still do it.
What is that for?
It's supposed to help detox.
Whenever I get a cold, I'm telling you the absolute truth here. I just cover myself in leeches and I go to bed.
Does your wife enjoy that?
She doesn't know about it. I do
Oh,
in the
okay.
basement. Anyway, my question for you, based on that story, is you got to choose one or the other. And Annie is famous for being like neither. I won't allow that. All right, either right now you could get $10 million, or you could go back to age 6 with all your current knowledge.
I've seen that question on Instagram.
Yep, it's floating around. And I thought it kind of related to this.
So this is the caveat to that, because we talked about it on the podcast. This is the thing. If you go back to when you're 6, this is what the rule we came up with. You have to go back exactly right now. So
yeah, you're not going back in time.
Exactly. Well, I said for us, we did go back in time.
Oh, you did?
But you have to remember everything. That's the hard part, because you can't look it up because it hasn't happened yet.
Right. No, I'm putting the caveat that you don't get to go back to when you were 6.
Okay.
You just, right now you're 6 again.
Got you.
$10 million.
So you don't get necessarily all the knowledge of which stocks are going to take off.
Yeah, no.
Or anything like that.
$10 million.
Yeah, $10 million if that's the case.
I think if I had all of the knowledge that I have now at 6 years old, I wouldn't make the same mistakes that made me who I am now.
Yet you'd be $10 million poorer. Does it change anything if you go back
No, but I'm saying I think I would want to make those mistakes. So I would want the $10 million.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Does it change it for you if you go back to when you were 6? So you actually are going back to your timeline?
Yes.
Because then you would know like all the best stocks and stuff.
That it does change it. But here's the thing. Does everything play out exactly how it played out before? Like
with the butterfly effect.
Am I going to bet on LeBron James to win the finals?
Yeah.
Is it actually going to happen?
Yeah.
So,
and you got to remember all that stuff.
It's a lot of
I think
stress.
broadly you could remember, when Bitcoin gets introduced,
that would be the big
I got to
one.
jump on that and some other things. Like, I don't know, you'd have to remember every sports thing, but there seems like there's big things that you wouldn't necessarily
You can
affect.
bet out of state or out of country on presidential elections. and big things like that. Coronavirus. I mean,
that said, I'm still taking the $10 million.
Yeah. I'm taking the $10 million. Easy.
Yeah, I don't want to. Like, there's so much stuch that I'm like, I don't want to relive all that.
No.
I mean, I would be smarter about how to relive things,
but still.
But I don't care. I'm actually looking forward to dying.
There was
Okay, that took a turn.
there was somebody.
Let's just get to the end of this thing.
There
There
was-
weights.
Right.
Yeah.
There was somebody that recently bet. It was like a 6-leg parlay on the UFC event. He bet $1 and got all of them right, and he won over 400K. And people are calling him a time traveler. So.
That makes sense.
That's fair. I think he deserves that moniker. Brad, you got one?
Yeah, I do. Let's get less out of that. But would you rather always be chronically underdressed or always be chronically overdressed? I guess chronically means always, but would you rather be chronically underdressed or chronically overdressed?
Chronic sounds like it's a condition.
It is a condition. You
Like,
show
you
up to
can't-
an event. Would you rather
Shoot, I
be
put on too many clothes again.
Yeah, all the time be overdressed or underdressed for the event?
Well, now parameters.
Like you have a shirt and pants on all the time?
No. When we're talking about style. So if you're overdressed for something or underdressed
I'm
for
thinking
something.
about Ralphie from Christmas
No,
Story.
no.
Like, just take on a couple layers, man.
No,
You're fine.
you go to a wedding, like underdressed would be wedding, and you show up in sweatpants or something like that.
Okay.
I would rather be overdressed, but I had a roommate my freshman year of college who always was overdressed for everything, like wearing like jeans and a cute top to class every single day, and everybody thought it was weird.
I just feel like this is such a decision that you could fix so easily
know.
that it's not like, well, shoot, I'm stuck with
Yeah,
it.
it's not a decision. It's chronically, so it's a condition.
Okay, so it is a condition.
It is a condition. You can't fix it.
Well, I am already chronically always underdressed, so I'm going to say overdressed based on the way that I feel when I walk into rooms sometimes.
I would love to see you walk into the show every day
With a tux.
Oh, that tux with the penguin tails and the cummerbund.
Yeah, and be
awesome.
like every day going, shoot.
Oh, man,
it's a condition. It's
what about you, Drew?
I would say I also don't know how to tie a tie, so I'll probably say underdressed.
Anna, you want to go with the last one?
Sure. Does your family have any phrases or sayings that nobody else uses?
Oh my gosh. Surprise, surprise. But they're all related to our dog, who is no longer alive. But we still will say things like, so my wife would use this fake voice to talk to our dog. Then she would call her the poo, Bailey the poo. And so she would just walk around going, "Ooh." And that happens still. Like, we just talk about poop, but we say poo in that voice. That doesn't make any sense, but there you go.
All right.
So it's funny that you said the poo, because our dog is Poe, and my wife asked me one day, what is Poe's full name? I was like, Poster Do. So she refers to him as the Do now. So
yeah,
she wouldn't do any goofy.
We do also have a lot of stuff that the kids used to say that we will still repeat like as phrases. And one of those is when my oldest son, who's 9 now, when he was little, he was, as probably every kid at that age was obsessed with tractors and machines and stuff. And he really has grown out of that. But at the age of 3, every little boy is like, oh, wow, look at a big car. You know, like, I was really impressed by those things. And so he would, anytime he saw something big, he'd go, a big one, of whatever that was. It was a big one of that thing. And so we will still always just say like, "Whoa, that was a big one." So yeah, I mean, these are things that are like funny to us that aren't funny to anybody else. Anybody else?
The one that comes to mind is probably you get what you get, but you don't throw a fit.
Oh, that's not even unique to your family.
Yeah.
Okay, so it has to be unique.
I think so.
I guess they probably say, they always say, "You're too literal."
I think that shines a lot of light on who you as a person today.
Words matter.
Yeah, cool. All right, we'll break there. We'll come right back. You guys, thanks for sticking around. Hey, a great 2 o'clock hour ahead. I've teased this already at the beginning of the show, but if you didn't hear it, Drew's going to actually come back in and semi-host a game show. We've never really done this before. Normally we do X's and O's in the 2 o'clock hour, but we've got such a ramshackle kind of show today. We don't have the normal crew. So we're going to have HaZe in here, and Brad and I and HaZe, at least us, are going to try to guess which era political ads have come from that Drew has run through AI software. All right, you follow that? That's going to happen in the 2 o'clock hour, so come back for it. This is the Annie Frey Show.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
I got my money. Let's spin it up. Go out and smash it.
When I met little Ruthie in 2010, she was just 5 years old. She wasn't eating much, she had no school to go to, and she didn't know who Jesus was. In December of 2023, Ruthie will be joining 12 others in the first graduating class of Bethlehem Christian Academy in Zambia, Africa. Hi, my name is Martin Winslow, founder and president of BCA. When you support a child like Ruthie through BCA, you get to join us in being the hands and feet of Jesus. Our mission is dedicated to transforming lives by feeding and educating poor and orphan children in some of the poorest places in Africa and South Asia. BCA's ministry not only provides physical bread to these kids, but also spiritual bread through the Word of God. For just $36 a month, you can help a child have a hope of a better future, but more importantly, give them the opportunity to learn about Christ. You can also join us on a mission trip. In fact, many will be joining me this upcoming December to watch Ruthie receive her diploma. To find out more about how you can help children like Ruthie, please visit bcaministries.com. That's bcaministries.com.
When you have electrical needs, whether it's an emergency or a planned upgrade or a planned inspection, call on Reinhold Electric because they answer their phone 24 hours a day. And with this combination of responsiveness of the staff and the experience and efficiency of the field workers, that provides you, the customer, with the best project experience or emergency service available in the Midwest. Put Reinhold Electric's number in your contacts, 314-631-1158. Tell them Bo sent you to Reinhold Electric.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-924-7415. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-924-7415. 800-924-7415. 800-924-7415.
If you've ever hired a coach, it probably wasn't because you didn't know what you were doing or couldn't find out how to do it on the internet. It was most likely because a coach brings a level of accountability, additional knowledge, and useful second set of eyes that helped you achieve your goals. In a strange way, IT works the exact same way. If your organization has problems finishing IT projects or delivering consistent service to your team, you are not alone. We frequently get contacted to not only help regional companies solve the day-to-day service issues, but also complete IT projects that have stalled or never gotten off the ground. Because we have different teams with different skill sets, these things can happen together, fully coordinated and documented for your organization. When you work with Acropolis, the urgent tasks will never get in the way of the important strategic ones. We pride ourselves on having long-term clients, with some for more than 20 years. Just like many other companies in St. Louis, you can benefit from the size, skill, and accountability that our Acropolis team can offer. To find out more, visit us on the web at acropolistech.com. Protect, optimize, grow. Call Acropolis today and we can help.
Zero Res has the best deal of the summer for you right now. 20% off all services, carpet tiles, rugs, upholstery, and air ducts. Call right now, 474-2020, or book online at ZeroResSTL.com and take advantage of these huge savings. Ask for the Mark Reardon special. Zero Res, you spell it backward or forward, it spells the same.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is celebrating 54 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
You could be watching this right now. Tune into the Annie Frey Show live stream. YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, Twitch. You know what? Just type in Annie Frey Show live stream. This is the Annie Frey Show.
Well, if you want to know what was happening during the break, we just kept talking about the if you were 6 years old versus $10 million question.
No joke.
And coming up with all the different reasons why you'd want to do one or the other. The one we kept coming back to is if you're 6, and this would depend on how old you are, really, because if you're Drew's age, going back to 6 isn't as long ago as if you're 70 years old right now. So a lot more time there. But if you go back to when you're 6 and you're right at the point where you're like, oh, okay, you need to invest in this stock. How, if you're 6 years old, are you going to convince somebody to take all their money because you don't have any money?
Right. Or you got birthday money. Mom and dad, I got my birthday money and I will invest in IBM.
Yeah. So, there's some challenges there, but a lot of people weighed in during the break too. I'll highlight a couple of these. And some people said, look, it's David, for instance, said, I'd go back to age 6 and skip 2 grades instead of 1. Seems like there's a lot more stuff you could have done with, the gift of knowing everything that you knew and going
just
back.
Remember, whatever it is you're doing, you're paying $10 million to do it.
Yes, right. You're losing 10 million, but you could also gain that much more. You just have to invest it, right? But you'd have to have that money. That's why I said, if you're 70 years old right now or 50 years old and you go back to 6, you could wait until you're a teenager at least to be doing a lot of that stuff, and you'd be fine. But if the gap isn't very wide. Now, Brian said something that I thought, well, we should probably highlight that too. He says, for us older generation, we could stop 9/11. I mean, we're viewing this all like selfishly.
Yeah.
What would you do?
Like,
But yeah, like, a little bit of shame associated there. Yes, you could do great things for the world, but the butterfly effect is still there too.
Yeah,
where
then what happens?
Let's say you did invest in Apple in 1981 or whatever. Does that even alter the course of history to where there is no 9/11? I mean, who knows?
Well, yeah, but then, like, if you stop 9/11, there are long-term ramifications for that, and it completely takes you off the timeline.
Yeah, I don't know if I think it's 11/23/62 or something. I can't remember the exact title of the Stephen King book, but the whole point of the book is that a guy is given the opportunity to go back to, and it's inexact, but he goes back to before the JFK assassination, and he's able to stop it, but there's a lot of waiting time there where he has to figure out whether he wants to stop it or not. And he ultimately decides to stop the JFK assassination because of all the different ways that altered history. Well, then he goes back at the I don't want to give away too much, but he goes back at the end to the present and sees, it's like the world is falling apart. I mean, and I don't know if there's a sci-fi element there where he's changed the timeline and therefore, like, you live in an electric world now or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty dramatic.
There was a Simpsons episode where they did that, and Homer goes back in time and accidentally steps on a bug. Like,
that's the butterfly effect.
And he keeps coming back and going back and back. And this one time he sits down, his family's wealthy. They're like, "Hello, father," blah, 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 blah. They're having breakfast. He's like, "Ooh, I might stay in this one." And they're like, "Are there any donuts?" And they're like, "What are donuts?" And he screams and runs out.
Runs away.
When he runs out, it starts raining donuts.
Right. Yeah. And that Simpsons story is Treehouse of Horror. That's actually based on a Ray Bradbury story called The Butterfly Effect, which is where that whole term comes from. So completely different subject here, but I wanted to bring this up since we were talking about our kids in the last, I was talking about my kids in the last segment. Tasty Cake chocolate candy cakes voluntarily recalled. It says that Flowers Foods Incorporated, which makes Tasty Cake products, is voluntarily recalling chocolate candy cakes. They look like devil's food cookies because they may contain peanuts, which could cause serious reactions in people with peanut allergies. The reason I wanted to bring up this very random story in the middle of the show here is that my son, who I was just talking about in that segment, has a peanut allergy. My other kids do not, including his twin sister. Does not. He's the only one. I don't know why he randomly has a peanut allergy, but and it manifests so strangely too. He's actually, like, when he was a baby, we actually fed him peanut butter a few times. He's eaten granola bars recently that we didn't even know had peanut, and he's fine. But then he also once, because a spoon was put into peanuts at an ice cream parlor and then was put into sprinkles, he ordered sprinkles on his ice cream. And just the residue from the peanut having been on the spoon caused him to break out in hives, and he struggled to breathe. So we're like, okay, I guess we got to treat it pretty seriously. So we got an EpiPen and all that stuff. But I don't remember peanut allergies being a thing at all until the last 20 years.
Peanut allergies. The other one that is latex allergies.
I didn't even know about this.
Yeah. I'm just trying to go back to whenever I was subbing and driving school buses and stuff like that. And those are kind of the two biggies that you had to watch out for. It's like, oh, well, you got a kid that's got a peanut allergy on your bus, which means that you're not allowed to have anything peanut related on your bus. So you got 70 kids and you got to make sure that not any of them have peanuts in their lunch, on them, whatever. Same thing with latex allergies. They take all of your first aid stuff away and they give you latex free stuff. I think it's almost like common practice that everything is latex free so that anybody with a latex allergy doesn't have a negative reaction. But it's a really recent development because there was nobody in my class whenever I was going to school.
No, we never, ever had that issue. And I actually think that I might, excuse me again, I might actually have a peanut allergy because I remember random times when I was working at UPN, I was working late one night and I ate a Thai dish that had peanut in it. And I got all woozy and I was having trouble breathing. And I'm like, man, what is happening to me? And I think it was that I randomly reacted to peanuts. So if he got it, he might have gotten it from me. But is it that we just know, like, has this always existed and now we know what it is? And so we're able to label it because we're just more advanced?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it new? Or is it that we never labeled it and kids would die? Like if you actually were that allergic to something, people would just have cardiac arrest or they'd asphyxiate and die, and we didn't know why.
Yeah.
I really wonder, I would love if somebody wanted to weigh in on what their thoughts on that topic were. While you're there, by the way, the Annie Frey Show YouTube page, the poll today is, what are your plans for this weekend? Going out of town, sticking around, or working? Brad, we haven't even answered that ourselves.
Yeah, I'm going out of town. I'm going to go to the Indy 500 this weekend, and I am super excited about that because it's one of those bucket list items.
So you've never been?
Never been.
Indy 500, is that, I know nothing about racing.
It's Indy cars.
So it's Indy cars, but is this the biggest race of all race?
It is the American
it's the
race.
one I know about.
It is the American race. I
Yeah.
mean, they have a whole class of cars named after it. I don't think, is this one they call the granddaddy of them all or something like that?
Oh,
I
you
can't
know
remember.
better than
There's that one, and I might be getting that confused with the Daytona 500. But the Indy 500 is the race that everybody's familiar with, that everybody knows about. It is the grand American race. It's on par with Monaco GP, which is also happening this weekend, which is Formula One and European and that sort of thing. But yeah, as a race
That
car
should be
fan,
fun.
it's like Mecca.
So you're going to be out of town this weekend. My answer to that is that we're not going anywhere. We're just kind of hanging out, although we will be gone at the end of next week. So it's kind of a weird week next week. Annie will be back on Tuesday. We have a fill-in host on Monday, but then Brad will be gone the first couple days. I'll be gone the last couple days. So we're kind of in and out of the studio, just like we are today. It's Brad and I. Hannah is gone. Annie is gone. But we got a great 2:00 hour with HaZe coming up for you next here on the Annie Frey Show.
Surprise! Surprise! Surprise parties, they can be fun, right? Well, financial surprises, not so much, especially when you're retired, like finding out you owe more in taxes than you thought you would, or having to go back to work to make ends meet. Maybe you think you'll be okay, but why not double check just to be sure? Call Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions and schedule a retirement double check. Marvin and his team have been helping families plan for retirement for more than 15 years. Call 314-373-1598 to schedule your retirement double check with Marvin Mitchell at Compass Retirement Solutions. That's 314-373-1598. Don't let a financial surprise derail your retirement dreams. Give Marvin and the team a call, 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services, investments, and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and in Illinois.
Hello, everybody. I'm John Rooney. Do you have an old car that's taking up room in the driveway? Repairs are costly and selling is a hassle? That's why you should donate it to Goodwill. Donating is quick and towing is free. Plus, you get a tax receipt and 4 tickets to a Cardinals game, compliments of the St. Louis Cardinals. That's a win-win. For more information or to donate, visit online at mersgoodwill.org. Must mention Cardinals.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
Station KFTK, an equal opportunity employer, is dedicated to providing a broad outreach for job vacancies at our stations. We seek the help from local community organizations in referring qualified applicants to our stations. Community organizations that wish to receive our job vacancy information can reach out to Frankie Fan at 206-577-2432. In addition, all listeners are encouraged to visit Odyssey.com for an online listing listing of job vacancies of all Odyssey radio stations.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio, 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
A lot of Americans are on the move. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
We left today probably, 3 o'clock in the morning? Tried to avoid the New York traffic.
His family's traveling by RV, but millions more are at the airports, with the TSA reporting the highest single day of screenings yesterday since before the pandemic, 2.6 million.
Today could beat that record. The FAA says it expects more than 51,000 flights to take off today, and travel analysts expect to see the number of passengers climb 11% this year compared to Memorial Day last year.
Fox Business's Madison Allworth. So much for the beach, though, in parts of the southeast.
This is for tomorrow, potential record cold highs. High temperature in Columbia, South Carolina. Tomorrow, 59 degrees. Charlotte, 58 degrees. You don't want to see that for your Memorial Day weekend, but it's what we have. And we're going to see a lot of rain totals piling up here, up across the southern Appalachians and then down across coastal areas. Some spots 5 to 8 inches.
Fox Chief Meteorologist Rick Reichmuth. There's a flood risk for coastal areas in the Carolinas. President Biden is hosting 2 championship teams at the White House.
There's an awful lot to be proud of.
Commending the women's basketball champs, the Louisiana State University Tigers, a short time ago before an event later with the men's champion, UConn Huskies. One LSU player collapsing during the event. Tigers forward Samaya Smith taken for care by the White House medical team after a brief pause. This is White House and congressional negotiators try to iron out budget issues. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy wants spending addressed before the debt ceiling is raised.
Work mandates for people to receive some federal benefits are still outstanding. The GOP secured an increase in defense spending, but McCarthy would not comment on money specifics. McCarthy lieutenants believe the speaker can deliver a deal for the GOP.
Fox's Chad Pergram on the Hill. They're up against a deadline as early as June 1st to avoid default. America's listening to Fox News.
At SimpliSafe, we design award-winning security to protect every inch of your home. It's easy to set up yourself, and now there's an even easier option. Have an expert do it for you with SimpliSafe Pro Install. Always protecting, never a contract. 2 easy installation options, backed by 24/7 professional monitoring for less than $1 a day. Get 20% off any new system with interactive monitoring at simplisafe.com/radio. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
Jesse Kelly here. If given the choice between financial stress or peace of mind, I will always choose peace of mind. That is why I've secured gold and silver from the Oxford Gold Group. Having precious metals in your home safe or in your 401k or IRA should be considered your investment strategy. Simply put, it's a portfolio protection plan. One app, one call, and you pick your precious metals. That's it. You now own real precious metals just like I do. Call 833-404-GOLD. That's 833-404-GOLD.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
It's a great Friday afternoon, sunny and nice today, 79 for the high. Tonight, clear skies, 70s this evening, cool again overnight, 52. Saturday, sunny and 82. Sunday, partly sunny, maybe a spot shower, but almost impossible to find. Don't worry about it. 82. Monday, partly sunny. It's a little warmer, 88, maybe a spot storm, but also almost impossible to find. This is 97.1 FM Talk, Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
We've been here 30 years. 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right, nice, soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, did you just have your house painted? Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, no, it's actually Rhino Shield.
877-25rhino.com.
There are over 10,000 reasons why steel is not sold at Lowe's or the Home Depot. Find tools for the job site or your own backyard at over 10,000 authorized local steel dealers. Find yours at steelusa.com. Lowe's and the Home Depot are trademarks of their respective companies.
The only person who can change your life is you, but you need to know how. Listen to my show, The Del Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins.
Listen to The Del Walmsley Radio Show this Saturday afternoon from 1 to 2 p.m. on 97.1 FM Talk.
Not just right and left, right and wrong. We're discussing it every day on St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
They got someone here knows what they're talking about.
Left up, left right, gotta love this American ride.
Like, you need to take some time to get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid, keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
I made clear time and again defaulting on our national debt is not an option. The American people deserve to know that the Social Security payments will be there. The Veterans Hospital will remain open, and that economic progress will be made, and we're going to continue to make it. Default puts all that at risk. Congressional leaders understand that, and they've all agreed there will be no default. And it's time for Congress to act now.
Well, when he says it, you can take it to the bank. That is the President of the United States telling us that there will be no default going into this weekend. I'm sure that's what everybody will be talking about when you're at your barbecues. It's, well, what does the debt ceiling look like?
Yeah, I'm sure.
So that's why we've brought HaZe in from Y98, because he actually will bring the things that people will be talking about this weekend. I guess we're calling the segment what's trending, something like that.
I guess
that's what we're
whatever's
gonna call
going on. What's ridiculous in this world?
Yeah.
Everything is. I mean, that's an everyday topic, I guess.
Yeah, we talk about what's ridiculous pretty much in every segment
Right?
of this show.
So it's fitting.
Yeah, it does look like they are getting pretty close to a deal.
Mhm.
All the reports that I'm seeing. I don't ask me what that means yet, because everybody's going to spin this as a win for themselves
Mhm.
and a loss
Of
for
course.
the other side, which is ultimately what has to happen if there is a deal. But I really don't know
Well,
what that means.
I mean, that's just the basis of making a deal. If you get everything that you want in a deal, you didn't get you got the better end of the deal and the other guy got hosed. A deal, you have to give a little to get a little.
I got to tell you, though, if Republicans can actually walk away from this and get 50% of what they
Mhm.
want, that's way more than they usually get
Right.
in these
And,
things.
and as my understanding, what they were asking for isn't a lot.
I saw, I think it was Newt Gingrich say today that they're getting pretty close, and he outlined what he's understanding they're moving toward.
Mhm.
And he said if they can get it to where there's actually a cut in spending, it'll be one of the first times in history that any party, let alone Republicans, have gotten a spending cut to happen.
Mhm.
And that if they can just do that, that's a win. So I guess maybe he's setting up the goalpost to be as wide as possible so that the field goal is going to go through and then go, oh, we got it. But that's the latest from that. But anyway, like I said, probably not going to be talking about that a whole lot at your gatherings this weekend. HaZe, you can tell us what people will be talking about, right?
I mean, I suppose. I mean, if the Taylor Swift, do you want me to jump into the Taylor Swift thing I sent you today?
Yeah, please, because
All
I
right.
think I saw this story. And I was like, of course, I almost glazed over because I'm like,
Is
whatever,
this real?
Whatever.
It
If
is
people are going to
real.
buy it, great.
All right, so here's the deal. Like Taylor Swift, biggest selling ticket this summer. All right, so I work on Y98. I play Taylor Swift songs. We're
Mhm.
giving away Taylor Swift tickets, which is insane. I don't have any tickets, by the way. Anyone listening,
By
they
the
don't
way,
give me tickets.
HaZe, you've been in music radio for
Yes.
a long time. You've been
23
in
years.
Multiple markets.
Mhm.
You have a nice wide breadth of understanding of the biggest artists in the world. You've probably met half of them.
A quarter of them.
Okay, a quarter of them. Fair. Is Taylor Swift the biggest artist of the last 20 years?
I'd say so at this point. It depends though, because there's so many up and coming artists. But I'd say in the last 10 years, yeah. I mean, you have Justin Bieber too, but he's kind of retired and resigned. But Taylor Swift keeps going, and these tickets are insane. Beyonce, obviously, the tickets
but
are.
I mean, obviously Beyonce. You're saying names everybody knows, so they got to be huge. If I know them and our audience knows the names, they've cracked through the ceiling. But with her, I mean, she really has hits that have lasted a long time, where some of those artists have too, but she doesn't show signs of stopping.
Right. And she has, crossed formats from country to pop to HaZe to, you'll hear it on KZK, their station, your at work station. So there's multiple formats, and a lot of artists are doing that, but not to the magnitude that Taylor is. And this is what I'm going to segue into here, is her Boston show. If anyone saw the coverage of it, it was torrential downpour. So she was in Nashville, and there was there was rain there, but it was like beautiful rain.
It had to be.
It was like,
it was a Taylor
she
Swift
was
show.
like, yeah, exactly.
It had gasoline in the
exactly. Who knows what was in the air? But in Boston, it flooded her piano. The piano didn't even work at her next show, and she had to do an acoustic performance. But people were selling the rain from the Boston show, from Taylor Swift show, the rain in jars for $250 a pop.
Tell me, were they putting it on eBay, or were people buying it?
I think it starts on TikTok, like everything ridiculous does. And there's been people buying this because they wanted to this is completely, this is the end of Western civilization as we know it.
I mean, I know it's a joke, but it kind of is. I mean, if people are that dumb, those people are also voting, I mean,
exactly.
Like, what do you think you're going to gain from buying a jar of rainwater?
Or how do you know it's legit rainwater? Did someone come through and verify it?
Yeah, it's got a signature verification. So
what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start going to concerts here in St. Louis. Like, let's say Post Malone comes to town, or Morgan Wallen's coming to town. 2 shows at Busch Stadium. All right, 2 of those shows. I might go to one of those shows and capture the air in a jar that Morgan Wallen breathes, and I'll sell it to you for $100.
That seems like a bargain.
Brilliant. You looking for investors? I'll help you buy jars.
But it's that ridiculous, right?
You know what? Real story, real talk here. I used to work at a golf course in St. Louis. I may have told this story on the air before, that one of the Backstreet Boys came and played. It was AJ. I remember. Nice. I just remember the name. He was the bad boy.
AJ.
Yeah. He was the bad boy, and he was apparently a very average golfer. And he was out there and played. And so when he came off, and this course, Gateway National is the course. I used to work there for about 4 or 5 years. And whenever artists came downtown, now they're in Illinois, but it's the closest course to downtown.
Yeah.
So all of the artists, and we had like the Riverdance people, if they wanted to play golf, they always came there.
Sure.
And so a lot of celebrities, a lot of sports celebrities actually, but first time we'd ever had a Backstreet Boy. So he comes off the course, and we're told very strictly, like, do not bother these people. And we're like, okay, we get it. Cool. It's a little hard when you're like 18 to be like, oh my gosh, there's Albert Pujols. That's super cool.
Right. Yeah.
But you kind of have to. And so when he came off, I cleaned his clubs and whatever, and took him to his car just like usual, and no real stories there. But once I got his cart back into the cart barn and started cleaning it out, I'm like, oh my gosh, all this stuff is in here. And it was all AJ from the Backstreet Boys. And this is not quite like right at their peak, but it's pretty close to it. Something like 2004 or 5.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I took all the stuff out of the cart, which included a half-smoked cigar, and I sold it on eBay for well over $100.
I believe it.
And I had no verification. I didn't have a phone to take a picture that it was really hit. I had no verification other than to say, this really is this, which it was.
Yeah.
And sold it. And I couldn't believe that I was able to sell that.
I believe it, man. I met those guys. I met all the Backstreet Boys when I was doing radio in Virginia Beach, and it was 2005-ish.
Okay.
So probably close to when that happened. great guys, actually, like super cool dudes.
Was AJ kind of a bad boy though? Was he like, I can't really talk to you because I'm too hard?
Yeah, it was more or less, yeah, but it was too hard. It was like, what's his name? Aaron Carter?
Yeah.
Right. It's Aaron, right?
Man, that dude.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're keeping up.
Yeah.
That dude's going off the deep end.
Yeah. Well, his brother, or it's Nick Carter. Nick, I'm
Carter.
sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I miscreated. Rest in peace, Aaron Carter. His brother passed away recently.
Oh, okay. So I didn't even know this.
Yeah, Nick Carter. That's right. So Nick Carter's brother, yeah, he's having a hard time. That family is. But he was dating Paris Hilton at the time.
Okay.
And tattooed Paris on his wrist or something. I didn't bring it up. Like, I don't have that drama on my interviews or shows.
Right.
Or bring that to the table. And he appreciated that. And they invited me to dinner that night.
Oh, yeah?
I had dinner with the Backstreet Boys.
That's cool.
And there was a connection with, but I don't know. He was just very quiet. Yeah. He wasn't, there wasn't nothing like, hey, I'm bad boy. But he had that reputation.
Yeah.
Right?
I smoked a cigar.
and then made a profit off it. That's awesome. And
Yeah.
to circle around back to that, there's this group called 5 Seconds of Summer. They toured with One Direction. We play a couple of their songs. They left a water bottle at the studio in Detroit I was working at the time, another market.
Okay.
Of course, I'm radio gypsy, moved around. And I took the water bottle, put it on Twitter. I was trending worldwide. HaZe, hashtag SO at 5 SOS is what it was. And I was trending worldwide for like 5 minutes. Worldwide, because I had the water bottle that one of the dudes drank out of at the time.
Gosh, it's such
I
a
never
weird...
sold it though. I should have made a profit.
Oh, you
off it.
totally should have. What a weird life that anything you touch. There's a famous story about, I think, Picasso that toward the end of his life, and he died in like the 70s.
Mhm.
So you think about this guy like, oh, he was around in the 1500s. No, he was around like in our lifetimes,
Right.
almost. And he would, I think it was him, that he was so famous at the end of his life that he would go to restaurants and just bring a empty canvas and just sign an empty canvas and be like, here, that'll pay for my bill. and these things still exist, that they're just a blank canvas with Pablo Picasso's signature on them.
They're probably worth so much money.
They're worth a ton of money, because what a crazy story.
Guy, if I was ever famous, I thought about that. I'm just like, I just go on eBay and
here's my water bottle.
Maybe I'll try that with my HaZe, my headshots. I'll get 3 cents for them.
Here's the stick from my blow pop. Does that cover my charge? Thank you.
Right?
Yeah. What else you got?
Insanity. So also that we talked about yesterday, I had like things you did growing up that make you old officially.
Speaking of how old we are,
yeah. So think about that. What makes you think of like, man, I'm officially old now?
I mean, it's all technology stuff.
Mhm.
Mostly it's the instant accessibility of talking to anybody.
Right.
Like that seems to me like the thing that has changed the most.
For me, it's I work with people who don't remember 9/11 happening.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Hannah.
Man, yeah, that's true. Yeah, you think about
It's like
that.
they don't-
You weren't even born yet, or they were babies.
Yeah.
Some of the list that's going around here is using a pencil to rewind a cassette tape. And some people don't even know what a cassette tape is.
No, I think I did that.
Yeah.
I think I've done that before.
Mine was usually whenever the cassette
It would
player
come out.
eat it,
Yeah.
and you're like, ah.
This was my favorite from my mom always. 1995. I remember it right now. Hearing someone yell, my mother, get off the internet. I need to use the phone.
Yeah. Yes. I
Remember those
remember that
days?
too. But
Oh, yeah.
at the time, what were we even doing on the internet? I was
I was
looking
playing
up.
games, I think.
Were
I don't
you?
know.
Because I didn't even
Yeah.
know I could play games. I was looking up stuff about my favorite bands like Supergrass.
Or like trying to, like, I was on Napster, like waiting 5 hours to
yeah.
download a song.
Stickdeath.com.
Yes. Is that what it was?
Stickdeath.com.
I think I remember some of those games.
Yeah.
I mean, the old Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
I used to play that on my Apple computer at my grandma's. And oh, that was incredible. I was like, why wouldn't I pick the doctor? The dude's rich.
Right.
Pick one of
Always.
these other peasants.
And the floppy disk.
Yeah, I think that
Floppy
was on
disk is another thing
Yep.
too. Some people are like, what is it? Like in my audience, sometimes I have to say, you might not know what this is, but your parents do. Because it's true.
It's interesting that you mentioned the floppy disk, because whenever you look on a lot of things, the save icon is a floppy disk.
Yes.
And there's a whole generation that don't recognize that as what it was, but
That's
as
a
the
good
save
point.
icon. And I think the handset for cell phones doing the same thing now.
I was always mad when they switched to calling the little hard disks floppy disks, because they weren't floppy. The original floppy disks
No.
were actually
It was
floppy
the
disks.
big ones.
Yeah.
I remember
And
it.
you could kind of wave them around.
You'd have to check them out at school.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
right? And then-
That's so funny.
yeah. And then I think, Brad, you and I related to this one. Yeah, cars that needed 2 different keys.
Yes, I still have a car that needs 2 different keys.
I don't know that I ever had this.
Because you had the one that unlocks the door and one that starts it.
And one that does the...
Oh, man, I think I missed that.
My old work truck. Got a key for the door and a key for the ignition.
My first car was a 1972 Monte Carlo SS.
Wow.
And I had one. I know, right? And I rebuilt the whole thing myself.
That's awesome.
So,
no kidding.
Yeah, I did. Well, my stepfather had a body shop, so that was like where it all started from. But you had the key, the GM key. The circle one, I think, was the one. The door, right? And then the square one was the ignition.
And it fit right in the ignition, right? Because I had my first car was a 79 Thunderbird.
So there you go.
Flip up headlights, vacuum operated, and round key for the door and square key for the ignition.
I came up with some of my own things, though. There's a bunch. The list goes on and on and on. But it's like, when I cleaned my room, and I actually did it without like getting punished, and I wanted to clean my room instead of someone yelling at me. I was like, I'm going to clean it up myself because someone's not yelling at me, making me do this.
Wait, you're saying that's a sign that you're old?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like being responsible.
So the choice to do it is what makes you okay.
Rather than just blowing it off.
Yeah.
You had one earlier in the show. It's like, what are you doing for this weekend?
Nothing. That was my I'm old now. Like, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be a party this weekend. I have nothing.
Nope. Yeah. Nothing on the schedule.
Nothing on the schedule.
Area rug shopping.
No.
Like, man,
no.
I look forward to going to get like furniture and area rugs and stuff like that.
I will say that I had an adult moment with, this is going to sound really gross now. I had an adult moment with an area rug. That's what I was about to say. When my wife said, I want to go get a rug for our house when we got married, I'm like, fine, go get a rug. I don't care. And she's like, no, you don't understand. Like, this is a purchase.
Yeah, it's expensive.
I'm like, what do you mean a purchase? Go get a rug. I'm thinking it's going to be $50,
$50.
We go shopping. She's like, oh, no. You see now how much they cost. It's like $400, $500 if you get a big, nice rug. Like, oh, that was an adult moment for me.
There you go. Then the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air on Nick at Night. I was just like, man, I'm officially old now.
Is that
I used
now?
to watch that. I don't even know if Nick at Night is still around, but I remember it was like on Nick at Night. I'm like, I watched this like the first day it came out on Friday. TGIF Fridays when you got home on Fridays like today.
Yep.
But as a kid or whatever, you would watch TGIF and
appointment. I mean, Saturday morning cartoons. You had to get up early to see cartoons.
Sit in front of it in your footy pajamas, watch eating cereal, watching cartoon. Oh,
yeah,
man.
they don't even have that anymore. You know what I'm saying? I don't even think there's Saturday cartoons anymore. Is there?
If there are, nobody cares.
No,
because like filler programming, or it's Meet the Press.
It is Meet the Press.
It's probably Meet the
You're
Press.
right. Or there's a nature program on. I think that's what it is. But yeah, because everyone has access to Netflix and they can play whatever they want.
Oh man, was I so mad when Bill Dance and Fishing Man or whatever came on? I'd be like, oh, that's the end of my freaking cartoons. Thanks, Bill Dance.
Hey, like you, Bill Dance, with your sunglasses and Tennessee hat.
Exactly. You got time for one more?
Yeah, having a notebook where you kept track of all your friends' phone numbers. Remember, you had that one friend or girlfriend, you remembered their number religiously.
Oh, I think there's probably still people now that I remember their home number if pressed.
Yeah,
because there were about 4 or 5 people that I would call all the time, and but I had the little black book or whatever because you had to write down all your friends' phone numbers.
Everyone's number. And then one more real quick. This is great. MapQuest directions.
Oh, yeah.
Printing out a
directions.
MapQuest.
Absolutely.
In all the cities I lived in, I don't know how I found my way around those cities like Dallas and Austin and Detroit, but I did. But my mom still uses MapQuest. And I'm like, Mom, guess what? There's an app on your phone and you don't need MapQuest. She still gives me directions.
Long before the apps, we were using the little satellite Garmin's. And those things,
Garmin.
though, and those were like, oh gosh, the future's here.
Yeah.
And now it's like, well, you don't need any of that stuff.
None of it. Except my mom. She's still keeping a gangster with the MapQuest.
Nice. Well, honestly, a segment I've been looking forward to all day is coming up next. Drew, who's filling in for Hannah, is coming back in the studio. He's almost going to be leading. It's not quite a game show, but it's at least a challenge that he's issuing to all of us and all of you that are listening. He's going to play for us real political ads from different candidates, different years within our lifetime. He's run them through AI, though. And so we've got a list. It's Hillary Clinton 2016, George W. Bush 2000, and a bunch. I won't give you all of them until the next segment. It's got to surprise you with them. But he's got ads from them that all are going to sound the exact same, run through monotone AI. We have to pick, and you can do this with us, pick which candidate is saying what in these. That's coming up next. HaZe, Brad, and I will have to pick. Come along with us. That's the Annie Frey Show coming up next.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Cardinals baseball is in full swing.
Right center field, a grand slam for Nolan Gorman.
With the free Odyssey app, local fans can listen live all summer long, whether you're at the grill or at the pool.
And it's a goner! An opposite field home run for Wilson Contreras.
Cardinals baseball. Cardinals announcers. Streaming live on the free Odyssey app. AUDACY. Get in the game and download it today.
Updating your home with James Hardie siding has never been more popular. With all the options available, you need a partner to ensure you maximize your investment. Siding Express is ready to refresh the appearance of your home or totally transform the look by installing Hardie shake, board and batten, lap siding, or a stone accent to make it your dream home again. Siding Express is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor. They also carry Anderson and Marvin windows and doors. Need ideas? Go to sidingexpress.com and schedule a free, no obligation consultation today. sidingexpress.com.
3 powerful, simple words. Love lives on. The foundation on which TAPS was built. I'm Bonnie Carroll, president and founder of TAPS, the Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors. TAPS is America's organization caring for the families of America's fallen heroes. And whenever a death occurs, TAPS is there to help families find that way forward. We are here 24/7 for all those grieving the loss of a military loved one. We do all this with the generosity of citizens across this country who understand American service and sacrifice. TAPS and the Good Feet store partner to turn compassion into action and honor those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice for freedom. The Good Feet store's mission is improving the quality of people's lives 2 feet at a time. Stop by the Good Feet store closest to you and find out how we can work together to make a difference. For more information, visit taps.org and goodfeet.com.
I'm Brian Westbrook with Coalition Life. Over the past decade, Coalition Life has served thousands of women in crisis pregnancies, helping to save the lives of the children that they carry. Help us build a better community while also reducing or completely eliminating your Missouri taxes with a 70% tax credit. A $1,000 donation today to help these women could cost you as little as $141 out of pocket. Learn more at coalitionlife.com, coalitionlife.com. Thank you.
Well, early in the show, we spoke with Charles Yates of Pacific Legal about his victory with the EPA case. 9-0 victory it was. If you want to, go ahead and get that Odyssey app and rewind that back to 107. The time right now is 2:26. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
There's a music station that fits your taste at Odyssey.com. Download the app for instant access to hundreds of music stations and listen live to 97.1 FM Talk. The Odyssey app. Download it or stream from 971talk.com.
My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, it's better than yours. Damn right, it's better
You're
than yours.
listening to the Annie Frey Show.
I have to charge. My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, it's better than yours. Damn right, it's better than yours. I could teach you, but I have to charge. You want it, the thing that makes me, what the guys go crazy for. They lose their minds.
All right. Brad's telling me we got to get out of the song because my milkshake is better than everybody else's. That's why he's telling me we have to get out of it.
Do you know the meaning behind that song? We won't get into that.
You tease it and then like we're not going to talk about it.
Okay. I just put it out there. You guys can Google that.
I mean, yes, I do. It's
Okay.
the answer is that it's about milkshakes. Different
Yes.
times a year. Sometimes they have the green and the mint ones.
Exactly.
You know, I think that's what it's about.
The Shamrock
right?
Shake.
Shamrock Shake. That's what we're talking about.
And
yeah.
Khalees's was better than anyone else's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever flavor that is.
Right. Metaphors.
Drew, we're going to transition hard now and get out of that. So what we are doing in this segment is that we've got Brad, HaZe, and myself, Ryan Wiggins, in here to be almost contestants in this little game that we're going to play. Drew has, and I'm completely cold to this too. It was an idea that I had, but I said, Drew, you want to do this? And he has run with it. And so we're going to be hearing this for the first time. Hopefully it goes well. If not, it's entirely his fault. And what he has done is he has grabbed, and I said, whatever you want. So he has grabbed on the board here a Hillary Clinton ad from 2016, a Kanye West presidential aspirations ad from 2020, George W. Bush from 2000, Walter Mondale from 1984, Bill Clinton 1992, and John McCain 2008. You've chosen a lot of losers, but some winners. But there they are. So Drew has taken these ads. That's not the full ad, but it's maybe a 20-second clip of an ad that he has run through AI, much like I do on X's and O's during this segment, typically on Friday. A little bit different version of that right now. And he's going to play each one for us, and then we're going to go around the room and try to guess which of those 6 I just mentioned it is. Drew, do I have all this correct?
Yes, you got it all correct. And I guess the losers make the best political ads. So,
I guess so. So, HaZe, maybe you can do the board for us since it's right behind you. And so when Brad picks, let's say he picks Hillary Clinton, say B1 next to that, and we'll keep track of who, at the end of the segment, who got the most right. So, Drew, if you want to go ahead and play the first one, take it away.
All right.
And I remember thinking what an incredible country this was, that somebody like me, would be able to get the opportunity to meet the president. That's when I decided I could really do public service because I cared so much about people. I worked my way through law school with part-time jobs, anything I could find. And after I graduated, I really didn't care about making a lot of money. I just wanted to see if I could make a difference.
There you go.
Ooh, man.
That one's tough. Like, I thought I had it at the beginning, and the more it went on, I was like, oh.
That's a good clip, because I assumed it was Kanye. And then law school, I went, well, wait a minute now.
Yeah, right.
Maybe it was Kim Kardashian. Who knows?
Yeah, but that name isn't up on the board, Drew.
Yeah.
If that's an option.
Okay, if I'm going first, I'm going to say that was Bill Clinton. So if you want to put R1 next to Bill Clinton, that's what I'm saying for that one. Brad?
So I'm going to go with Clinton as well, but I'm going to go with Hillary Clinton in 2016.
Okay, so he's B1. And HaZe, who do you think that was?
I was thinking Hillary as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So 2 for Hillary, and I'm saying Bill on that one. All right, Drew, what's the next one?
Okay, here we go.
I believe we need to encourage personal responsibility, so people are accountable for their actions. And I believe in government that is responsible to the people. There's a big difference in philosophy between my opponent and me. He trusts government. I trust you. I trust you to invest some of your own Social Security money for higher return.
Okay. These are really good.
Yeah, see, I had to add an aspect of
something
hints to give you a little bit,
Right. Very good. All right. HaZe, you want to go first here? I'm kind of basing it on what you guys do. Because there's 2 that I think it could be on this board.
I'm going to go with John McCain.
Okay.
Right.
Go with John McCain.
That's where I was going to. Johnny Mac.
I'm leaning that way too. I'll just go ahead and I'll agree.
Really?
It was between John McCain 2008 and George W. Bush 2000. I thought it could have been either one of them, but I'll go with you guys and say John McCain as well. So
all
we
of us
all said John McCain 2008 for that one. Talking about Social Security, I think that's what did it for me. It's a great marker you've got there. HaZe is not participating in the segment because he just can't get the black marker to work.
There's no budget for markers anymore.
No, not anymore. Actually, not with this economy.
Yeah, make sure to vote in the YouTube comments or wherever we should.
Yeah, let us know what you think. So
think.
that was number 1 and 2 there, and there's 4 more.
Yes, there are.
Okay.
They have decided for you who your president is going to be, but I got a little message for him. Polls don't vote, people vote. We believe in a solid, just compassionate, hopeful future. That's why I'm in politics. That's why I'm running for president. And that's why we're going to win.
Can I go first?
Yeah, you can go first.
I got Walter Mondale 1984 on this one.
I was going to say the same, except that it could be Bill Clinton 1992 because you already had George H.W. Bush, and he could have been saying, well, they already told you who's going to win. But I chose Bill Clinton already, so I have to choose Walter Mondale here, so that's mine.
I'm going to do Bill Clinton just because you shouted it out.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah, he did shout out Bill Clinton, didn't he?
I did. Well, I made a strong case for HaZe to choose
thank
Bill
you.
Clinton. But you
Appreciate
can put R1 next to Walter Mondale there too.
All right.
Yep. Okay. So we're halfway through. Please let us know if you
R3.
see. Vicky says she thinks that was Clinton 92. And Scooter says he thinks that was Vivek Ramaswamy. I don't know if that one's on the list, Scooter. All right.
All right, number 4. Here we go.
America. What is America's destiny? What is best for our nation, our people? What is just true justice? We have to think about all these things together as a people, to contemplate our future, to live up to our dream. We must have vision. We as people will revive our nation's commitment to faith, to what our Constitution calls the free exercise of religion.
And that one was a little fast, so I can play it again if you'd like.
No, it's fine.
I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with George W.
Brad?
Man, I was thinking W.
It could be Kanye.
But it could be Kanye.
Man.
I'm going Kanye.
Vicky says Kanye. I'm going to say George W. I'll go R4 on that one. Say George W. Bush.
All right. And then, HaZe, you also chose George W. on that
Yeah,
one?
I did.
Okay. Yeah, if that's Kanye, I won't be surprised, but I'll be mad. Okay.
And here we go with number 5.
We won't always get it right, but you can count on this. I've never quit, and I never will. I'll get up every day determined to keep America safe and strong and make our economy work for everyone, not just those at the top. And finally, working for children and families has been the cause of my life.
The cause.
I got this one. That is Hillary Clinton. And I have not chosen Hillary Clinton yet. So there's my Hillary.
I have W left on my board, and I also have Bill Clinton left on my board. I'm gonna go with W on that one.
Okay.
I will keep us safe.
Man.
She did say safe, but also said making it not just work for those at the top. And I think that was the key to that one.
Yeah. Well, I have no
What are
other
you saying?
option. I have Walter and I have Kanye.
So it could be Walter Mondale.
I'll
It could
go
be Kanye as well.
That's definitely not Kanye.
Drew's over here laughing at us.
Kanye is not a billionaire.
No, well, not anymore.
Not anymore. He's not. All right. HaZe chooses Walter Mondale.
Man.
All right. Is this the last one?
This is the last one.
Okay.
Oh,
you almost played the real one.
Almost slipped up right there.
The last 8 years haven't worked very well, have they? I'll make the next 4 better. Your savings, your job, and your financial security are under siege. Washington is making it worse, bankrupting us with their spending, telling us paying higher taxes is patriotic, and saying we need to spread the wealth around. They refuse common sense solutions for energy independence.
Oh man.
Oh no, I'm left with just Kanye, and that was
Me
not
too.
Kanye.
I know. You and I are Kanye. We have to,
We
right?
have to.
So
So,
yeah, and I'm Bill Clinton. So
okay, that could be Bill Clinton. Well, no, but he says the last 8 years.
yeah.
Gosh,
Those
I
are
don't
good.
know who that would be.
All right, so let's try to run through these quickly.
Okay,
Who's
give
ready
us
for
the
number one?
answers. Here's number 1.
And I remember just
Yes,
thinking what an incredible country this was. That somebody like
That
me,
is Bill
you know,
Clinton,
had
isn't
no
it?
money or
Clinton,
anything, would be
1992.
given the opportunity to meet the president.
Should we write
That's what I'm
tallies?
saying.
Oh, yeah.
All
right, Ryan got that one. All right, that's good. Okay, that's number 1.
Okay.
Number 2.
All right, here we go.
I believe we need to encourage personal responsibility so people are accountable for their actions.
You got that one wrong too.
Wow. No.
Responsible to the people. There's a big difference in philosophy between my opponent and me.
Nothing.
You trust government? I trust you. I trust you to invest some of your own Social Security money for higher returns.
This is the one we all chose John McCain for.
Wow.
Boo. Oh, we weren't off. I think we were all between George W. and McCain on that one.
Yeah.
But we chose wrong.
All
It's going
right.
to throw us all off.
Number 3.
Okay.
They have decided for you who your president is going to be, but I got a little message for them. Polls don't vote, people vote.
Yes.
We believe in a solid, just, compassionate, hopeful future That's why I'm in politics. That's why I'm running for president. And that's why we're going to win.
That's Walter Mondale. Am I the only one that got that one?
I got that one.
Brad and
Ryan got that one. All right, cool. HaZe.
America. What is America's destiny? What is best for our nation, our people? What is just?
That's Ye.
True justice.
That is Kanye.
We have to think about all these things together as a people, to contemplate our future, to live up.
Oh, man. Brad got it.
Key it up, man.
That means Brad and I are now tied. What was that? Was that number 4?
Yes, that was
okay,
number 4.
So this is number 5.
Number 5.
We won't always get it right, but you can count on this. I've never quit, and I never will. I'll get up every day determined to keep America safe and strong and make our economy work for everyone, not.
I like that you just cut him off. That puts me back in the lead. I'm the only one that got that one, right?
Well, yep.
Okay, last one.
6.
The last 8 years haven't worked very well, have they? I'll make the next one better.
Of course.
Your savings, your job, and your financial security are under siege. Washington is making it worse, bankrupting us with their spending.
That's a tricky one because that's John
Yeah.
McCain talking about the last 8 years under George W. Bush.
Yeah.
That was tricky, and none of us got it, right?
Well, there you go. Looks like Ryan's the winner here.
Can you say that one more time real quick?
Ryan's the winner.
He's like, can you clip that and make that a reel?
That was cool. Well, that was fun. Thanks, Drew. A lot of work putting into that to make that a segment. I thought that was kind of fun. Hopefully you did too. HaZe is going to stick around for one more segment. We got a lot to talk about with the poll, which is today. What are your plans for this weekend? Not necessarily super important, but we'd like to know. You going out of town, sticking around, or you got to work? Let us know. We'll give you the results of that poll, among other things, as we close out the show here on the Annie Frey Show here on 97.1 FM Talk.
Damn right, it's better than yours.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
Tony La Russa here. Men, are you running out of stamina rounding third base? If so, call my friends at Victory Men's Health in O'Fallon, Illinois. Scoring at home is important, just as important as crossing the plate with the winning run. VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
The Med Spa at the Institute of Natural Health understands how difficult it is to maintain healthy skin and how much this can affect someone's life. With the right combination of treatments and products, they can help you keep your skin looking healthy and more youthful, while also reducing and preventing damage. Take your first step towards healthy skin at the Med Spa at the Institute of Natural Health. Visit them at inhstl.com or call to schedule at 314-293-8123. That's 314-293-8123.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing, together millions of things for our planet. May is National Bike Month, so it's a great time to remember the benefits. Biking is a great mode of transportation, being faster than simply walking, while being cheaper and more environmentally friendly than driving a car. Plus, it's low-impact exercise, so it's easy on your joints and muscles. Biking can also help you sleep better and make you look younger. When we each share our one thing, it becomes 100 things, 1,000 things, 1,000,000 things for our planet. What's your one thing?
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Big week in politics with the DeSantis announcement and more. We'll talk about it all on the Reardon Roundtable Friday afternoon. Jane will be here. St. Charles County Councilman Mike Elam, State Rep Donna Behringer. Join us.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
St. Louis is home for conservative talk.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
This is the other Gorillaz song. I was thinking when it started, it was the I'm happy, feeling glad, I got sunshine, which you music trivia aficionado, have you ever seen the clip of the lead singer of Blur, who's also the lead singer of Gorillaz, talking about where he got that beat?
No.
Oh man,
it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Where did he get it from?
So
I should know that.
He's and this is an interview. It's probably a few years old now. I just discovered it like a couple weeks ago. I played it on my show. Where he's talking to an interviewer and they're just walking around his house. It's probably like a crib style show or something. And he walks up to this little, not even a Casio keyboard. It's even smaller than that. It was one that reminded me when I was a little bitty kid, I had a Muppet Babies keyboard that had like 6 keys on it.
Nice.
And a bunch of little presets.
Yeah.
It looked like that without the Muppet Babies, but it was a similar thing. And he goes, you want to know where I got that song? And the guy's like, sure. And he hits a button on that little keyboard.
It's a preset.
And
really?
Yeah. And you know that beat that's like boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom. It just plays on a keyboard. And you're like, of course, that sounds exactly like one of those little presets.
That's awesome. I've heard a lot of stories with artists like that. They use pots and pans. They've used their cabinets and stuff, like the band AJR, if you're familiar with them.
Yeah.
They did a lot of the stuff in their own home with just pots and pans. It sounds.
Charlie Puth. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
He does that. Like he did it on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. He's like grabbed a cup and hit a ding sound. He's like, all right, I got it. And then he just used Pro Tools or whatever and made a whole song out of it.
And he's great in concert live. By the way, he will be at St. Louis Music Park here next month. And Y98 will have your tickets to get you there.
Okay.
Charlie Puth, that is.
Is that a 97.1 sponsored event? Charlie Puth?
Yes, now it is. It is now.
Because if it is, I didn't know about it. I probably should, being the creative director. All right. The story I wanted to mention just with you guys in this room is we talk about this stuff off air just randomly. It's a poll and multiple people, well, it's an article about a poll. Multiple people have sent me this article in the last week. So it must be one that is generating enough interest from, just average news readers that they're like, oh man, this is super interesting. I hope you talk about this. So here at the very end of the day, I finally got time to do it. The poll is about, does God exist? And it's a poll, I guess it's like a very, very well-known religion poll called the Public Religion Research Institute. It's like very well regarded, I guess, that asks the question just straight up, does God exist? And you could answer a multiple choice on this. And does it surprise you that only half of Americans say yes?
It doesn't surprise me.
Would you think it would be higher or lower?
And today with what we're, with social media and everything else, I thought it might be lower, actually. It's sad.
Well, I mean, we can dive into this a little bit more, but that question first, because they asked a bunch of other questions.
I was going to say, like, how many people did they ask, and what's the
well, I don't know
that
the sample size, but it's just a cross section of America.
Everybody.
I don't think it was really anybody in particular.
So anybody,
just Americans. And they did this in other countries too. And America was kind of right in the middle. Like it depended on a lot of Europe is actually lower and a lot of the rest of the world is actually higher because it wasn't specific to a religion in this question anyway. It was just, does God exist? And there's lots of other numbers, like I said, that I'll get to, but that one in particular is a tough question because what they're asking you is definite yes. And I would say even those who have like the deepest faith possible at times, especially when you're going through something like really hard and you don't feel the presence of God or you just don't feel like he cares, there are moments where even if you have strong faith, you doubt. And so I'm actually a little surprised at this high of people who say definite yes.
Well, that's kind of an interesting thought because that's what faith is. Faith is a belief in something that you can't see, that you don't know is there.
Correct.
So if you say definite yes, is it still faith or is it just knowledge?
That's a great question.
That's deep.
That's why we have Brad here.
Wow.
Because he does that.
But I thought it was going to be lower, unfortunately,
Well, a lot of this
with my beliefs anyway.
Kind of lead to the conclusions that you're talking about, because that one to me was the most kind of vague question that really, it doesn't necessarily say a lot about you if you say maybe not, because even some of the people, I mean, I know pastors who've just gone through seasons that they're just like, man, I just don't know. I don't know what's happening. where is God in this? And maybe in that moment, they're not questioning the existence of God, but they're certainly questioning the character of God in those moments.
Or is God absent from that situation?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But there are some other numbers that I found very interesting from this. 34% of Americans never go to church, which I actually thought was low. I thought today,
you thought there'd be more people.
Only 34% of Americans don't go to church.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a third of the country, which means that 66% of America is still going to church.
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually pretty surprising. Another from that same report said that 27% of Americans claimed no religion in 2022. And that is one number that is rising fast. In American history, so we go back 10 years to 2012, 19% said it, and now it's up to 27%. That's a pretty big increase. You go back to 2006, that number is 16%.
Wow.
And apparently the further back you go, the lower and lower the percentage of Americans who claim no religion at all. So atheism, I guess, in a sense, it's not even really atheism because they dive into this in more specific terms, is to say that not all Americans are spiritual, but nearly 3/4 of people believe in life after death. This data shows the number has remained relatively stable over decades. So it's the way the Americans are approaching religion has kind of changed a little bit. But people still have some of those core beliefs. I think it's probably pretty tough to abandon the idea of life after death.
Yeah, I think more people are nowadays are more spiritual.
Yeah.
Don't you agree?
Oh, I would agree with that 100%.
Spiritual, that, hey, they might not believe in this certain faith or this certain religion, but they believe there is something.
Yeah, they can't deny the evidence that maybe there is something, but they're not sold on the idea of an organized religion, a particular religion getting it all right. And so they just kind of grab and pick and choose and kind of cobble together their belief system out of that.
Right.
I think you said it, HaZe, that people say, well, I'm spiritual. So they're saying they believe in something, but it's like people don't want the parameters.
Yeah.
Like I want the good stuff without the hard stuff.
Right.
Is kind of what a lot more people are saying now, which I mean really reflects on the culture. I mean, that's kind of what we do.
It's nowadays, look, they, them, him, their, whatever. Like it's kind of what's going on now.
Right. Like there are no rules.
Right.
But I like the idea of some of the, I had a pastor once when I was in college. I always remember this. That he said, if you went up to a chalkboard and you wrote down all of the attributes of Jesus on a chalkboard, but you didn't put his name on it, that you could say, do you want these things? Yeah. And people would go, well, heck yeah, I want those things.
Right.
And even some of it being like the stuff that we shy away from, like boundaries and rules and being told right from wrong. You put that on a chalkboard, most people go, well, actually, I do want that. And then he said, now, if you're in a college classroom and you write that and everybody goes, that's great. If you write the word Jesus above it, the people go, get that away from me.
Wow.
Because they go, oh, there's so much attached to it, either from your own personal experiences or from people just saying, well, I've already considered Jesus. I'm kind of throwing that out.
Sure.
Yeah.
You look like you
I was going to say is that it's the stigma that comes along with bad experiences at church and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's really, to me, it's unfair to judge the creator, to judge Jesus by the creation, as far as I am not a perfect person. And if you looked at me and said, oh, that person's a Christian, I'm an ordained minister. And you say, oh, Brad is a Christian. And then they look at me and go like, man, he is a very imperfect person. And the answer is, yeah, but that's the whole point. I need a savior. And it's not, but people get turned off whenever they get hurt at church, and it sticks there worse than any other place. People go back to a restaurant that offended them, but if you offend them at church, they're not coming back.
You're right.
Well, it's a much deeper offense.
Yeah,
it really is.
True.
Back to this study real quick. During the pandemic of 2020, the share of Americans who belong to a church, synagogue, or mosque dipped below half for the first time in American history, or at least as long as they've been doing the poll. Gallup polling has measured church membership since the Depression, when more than 70% of Americans belong to some house of worship. I mean, that's kind of goes along with what we said the whole time, that there's a spiritual aspect to even secular things, like forcing people to stay at home. And we said at the time, like, if you are going to allow people to go to certain places, and they always say liquor stores remained open, but churches had to be closed. Like, there's a spiritual component to that.
Yeah.
And people always said, well, it's because you don't sing in a liquor store. Well, that's true. You're not sharing germs in the same way, but
Well, some people might sing. I mean, you might not have been to the 7-Eleven there in Maryland Heights. There's people, or the liquor store there. There's people singing.
Yeah, depending on where you are and what time of day
right.
it is. While many religion trend lines are sinking, one key population is rising, that being non-denominational Protestants. That's the one area that is rising like crazy. And that's actually not specific to America. That is worldwide. That is a worldwide thing that's happening, that people are, it's kind of goes along with what you were saying, HaZe, that when they say they're spiritual, it's almost like, yes, I want to be a part of something, but not quite as rigid of a structure of something. Which non-denominational is kind of that on a corporate level.
That's that. And then I catch myself saying it too. And I consider myself religious. We've talked about this. But I say universe. But I incorporate it all. Like everyone's like the universe. But I'm like, well, the universe is part of the creation, you know. You can go down a rabbit hole with that.
Well, I love, I mean, these conversations are what like keeps me I love having these conversations with you guys, whether it's on air or off air. I love it. The population of non-denominations has risen from next to nothing in the 1970s to now nearly 15% of Americans, which is actually a pretty big percentage. Last one here. Stigma remains, however, around the idea of rejecting God altogether. Back to the original point here. The vast majority of all Americans still report that they believe in God without reservation, excuse me, with some doubts, or at least some of the time, which is completely understandable. That is the nature of
I was gonna say
life.
that's natural.
Right? If not God per se, they believe in, quote, some higher power, aka God. Like, what do you think that is? True non-believers, atheists, account for only 7% of the population.
Yeah.
Doesn't it seem like there's an outside, these are very loud 7% though, aren't they?
Yeah.
Because when you're online and you talk about these issues, man, what do you get attacked for the most? Politics and religion.
Well, yeah. And you say something on Twitter or something, the very first thing they do is they scroll into my Twitter bio and it's like, oh, you're a bad Christian. That's the first thing they go after with me. They don't like what I have to say.
So we got less than a minute left. Brad, can you share the results of the poll today?
The results of the poll today, the question was, and HaZe, you can answer this real quick if you'd like. What are your plans for the weekend? Are you going out of town, sticking around, or are you working?
I am like Ryan. I'm like Wiggins. I am chilling. There's no plans. I'm old. I'm barbecuing. I'm sitting at the pool. I'm enjoying my time with my family.
Bathtub full of roses.
Bathtub full of roses. And then most importantly, thinking of those that sacrificed their lives.
Absolutely.
So we could sit by the pool and barbecue. So most importantly, that's what you need to think of this weekend.
Well, both of you are in the majority with 75%. People are sticking around. This is the part that surprised me, though. 16%, 15% of the people are working, and then the rest are going out of town.
Cool. Thanks. It's the Annie Frey Show.
When I met little Ruthie in 2010, she was just 5 years old. She wasn't eating much, she had no school to go to, and she didn't know who Jesus was. In December of 2023, Ruthie will be joining 12 others in the first graduating class